Brandon didn't break any chests this time around.
Oh, and I'm.
Can you break
I don't
chests?
think you. I don't know. I think
so.
I did. I think I did on my first playthrough,
No,
but
you
it
didn't.
doesn't do anything. I swear to God, I did.
I
I
know.
will
need
get on
video
right
evidence.
now.
There's no way.
I will get on right now.
I need proof.
And you can. I just remembered you can. Yeah.
This
it
is-
was a chalice dungeon chest. I had a bunch of enemies like pinned behind it. It was like a really weird like spawn for it. And I was like, is this random? I was like, what is this? And the enemies were trying to attack me, but they couldn't get past it. And I hit it so much it broke.
Is that
and it
an
was like a
actual chest?
metallic it was like a big metallic chest, a big like gold metal chest. And it broke, but it didn't break the item. It didn't like turn to rubbish or anything Dark
I
Souls
don't
2
believe you
style,
for a
but
second.
it broke. It
but
broke.
the chalice
Go and
dungeons are
hit
a
a
little bit
chest.
different. So
The
maybe.
long one? You're talking about the long gold one?
No. It was
So
it
it's
was
different.
it was like the short and kind of tall gold one with the arch top.
Never seen that one.
You
What?
push the lid and it slides
I
off.
think I maybe seen it once.
Yeah. But regardless, if that one can break, I would imagine any can break. But it didn't change anything. It just you could still pick up the item.
That's
The
good.
one that kind of looks like a Skyrim
I think-
chest, like from like the Dwemer things in Skyrim.
I could
You
be
ever done that?
wrong, and maybe I lost the item. I don't think I did though. But it
Well,
did
that
break.
would be the only rubbish in the entire game, or whatever equivalent.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call you a liar. So
I don't believe it either.
Wow.
I don't believe it
Just
either.
get a clip, Peeve.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I mean,
Anyone can get on right now and prove me right.
People podcasting. Come on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. God damn it.
So what have you guys been up to?
Bloodborns?
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. Solo's doing
Have we
Bloodborne
started?
art.
Is this thing going?
I'm doing
It's
Bloodborne
always
art.
started.
It's just go with it.
Do we need to like introduce
It's-
ourselves or
it's-
something so people can
it's
know which
forever
voices are
going.
which?
Sure, that might be a
we can
good
figure
idea.
that out.
Yeah. I think they'll figure
Pick
it
up
out.
We're
on
all
it.
really just the same
I reckon
person.
they've all
Pick up
heard
on
us
it.
anyway at some point or another.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I literally just beat Bloodborne. At least the other ending. I don't know how many there are technically, but yeah.
We were all sitting here
Special
watching you, cheering you on.
I bailed out as soon as you killed Gitterman.
There's 8 endings. Spoilers.
There's
Eight?
actually
Holy
17.
What?
So-
That's not a real spoiler. Come on.
So that was actually unexpected because I didn't know, and I guess I don't want to get too much into this, but I didn't expect it at all. I was, yeah.
That,
I don't know
that's
how
the
I don't know how I triggered it. At least at first, I have suspicions, but
That's the joy of a first blind playthrough, which a lot of
Yeah.
people don't understand. It's like, oh my god, what is that? Like, what is going on? I'm confused, and then like, yeah, I love that. First playthroughs are amazing to watch.
It's just a bunch of like, what?
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 And you can
What?
only understand it like the second time through, or if you
Yeah.
watch your archive or anything.
Well, I mean, I think Newsaf kind of knows what had happened. Maybe not the specifics of how you summon it or any of the specifics of the fight itself, but he kind of knows what happened. But I'm curious to see, like, what did you actually think was going to happen? Like, what were your kind of speculations? Did you have any? Like, you just
Well, I guess how I came around to that, there was one of the descriptions that says something to the effect of this is how they contacted something, or I don't know. But then I also recall Dark Souls 2 where you use the like giant souls
Mm-hmm.
to fight the king. So there was a little
Except
bit of
you don't consume those.
yeah. That's
Wait, you're
true,
supposed to
but this-
consume them?
No, the
Wow.
giant souls in Dark Souls 2. What? What? No. Those stay in your inventory, which is the opposite of what happens.
Yeah, I think I mistakenly consumed one and thought it would do something. It didn't. But that's where my mind was. And I figured they'd done such a good job throughout the game of special items that you can't or shouldn't consume are classified as keys in your inventory.
Mhm.
So there's no mistaking that they will just automatically be used wherever you need to use them. Whereas like the umbilical cord, I just figured, well, this seems pretty significant for an item, and it's a usable. It seems like they want me to use it, so I'm going to use it. and nothing happened. And I just tried it again, and that's how I got the last. So I wasn't
Wait,
expecting
what?
it.
Is that what you're supposed to do? I had no idea.
Do you really want us to answer you,
Oh my
Nita?
god. No, I think I just got it though.
For anyone who doesn't know, New Taf, for anyone listening who doesn't know, New Taf is still him and Sonos are still kind of semi avoiding spoilers, but New Taf isn't aware of like everything.
I'm more of a noob.
I'm trying to talk around it while also explaining it because it's so now I'm wondering about the other special items you get, like the Tear Stone. I don't like.
Yeah.
I suspect that there's something else to it than just using it and getting the item that it says you get.
So I noticed the difference between. So I found there's at least 3 different things that you items like that you can crack them and get a gem out of them. Like the
Like some bloodstone
the tier thing, and
kind of thing.
I can't remember the other one. But the brooch actually has a confirmation prompt. It'll say yes, no, do you want to use this thing? Whereas the tear stone doesn't. You just smack it right away.
And it just
Interesting.
goes. Yeah.
And the what is it? The pendant, right? That one also just goes right away.
Okay. That to me says they're almost like, are you sure you want to use
Yeah.
this? Because there might be something else to this. Be careful.
I'm a little annoyed by that. It's a little too telling, I think. But,
Yeah.
oh
I
well.
think it's because the pendant specifically has a use with the girl in the window. I don't know if you guys
Mhm.
actually found that NPC, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the other things, they're just given to you, and there's no other use for it, basically. So
So that's the thing.
I-
Is there another use for it? Like I don't know for sure.
I don't know if. Well, I guess we do know for sure because the guide is out. But
Oh.
other than that, I don't think people actually know
Yeah.
for certain.
So I got a like the girl
for the,
in the window.
for the pendants, you guys. Sorry,
Uh,
you're talking about the pendant.
Yeah, the red brooch. that
Oh,
you get
okay.
From,
Okay.
Isn't it brooch?
brooch.
Whatever.
We all know what we're talking about.
I'm Canadian. I say things weird, so
I
know all
before we
about
get
that.
God damn it. Before we get too off topic from it, you want to know what I did with the umbilical cords on my first playthrough?
Sure.
The first one, I felt like there was something you kind of have to use at like a certain moment. I wasn't sure. So whenever I came across ROM for the first time, I was like, this is it. This is the moment. And so I went down to the umbilical cord, and because it says like give us eyes, and it doesn't say give us eyes. It says it relates to that or whatever, and it's talking about eyes on the inside and all this cryptic stuff. And so I'm like, I sit there and I'm like, here we go. This is something's gonna happen. And I pop it, and Rom just stares at me because he
Thank you,
doesn't
Rom.
attack you. He doesn't attack you at first. So I didn't want to just start beating up this great
Yeah,
one. Or
yeah.
is he a great one? I don't know. But I didn't want to just start
That's-
whipping his ass. So I did that, and it just nothing happened. And so I found another one later on, and so this time I end up meeting old Mikolash for the first time, and I swear to God, my first playthrough, he ran up and down. He didn't run around the room. He ran up and down one staircase, like on the, like if your back's facing the wall that you like enter from, pretty much. They have one staircase like immediately to your right whenever you walk in. He just ran up and down that staircase for about, it had to be 10 minutes.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
I think that might have been
Yeah.
the memory glitch thing, to be honest.
It-
'cause
it
you and
could
I
have
had a
been,
lot
yeah.
of issues with that.
Yeah, so
really,
I didn't
really
know. I was like this can't be the boss fight. And so
the
I walk
goofiest
up
thing.
to him, and I walk up to him like, this is it. This is the moment. I hit him. And I burst another umbilical cord and nothing. And I'm like, God damn it. And then by the time I finally got I found 3 of the umbilical cords. And so by the time I got the last one that I guess quote unquote needed from the wet nurse, I ended up never using it.
You were
So
let down
I
so
missed
bad.
out. So I ended up missing out on it
Damn.
on my first playthrough.
So close.
I was doing it right, wrong, but it was going to lead to the right to the right scenario. But I didn't burst the last one. So
I wonder if that's by
So
design.
close,
Like
though.
if you just hey, use this for intellect, and hey, at the end, if you choose the right option, you get this little treat.
yeah,
I think
so.
I imagine that's the case, but I don't know. Like they made a pretty good job of actually having a use for insight because there's the insight shop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I never found myself actually using it. I just kind of assumed that having insight was important for some other purpose in my first playthrough.
Somebody was saying insight makes the game harder. Like more enemies do more damage or something.
That's just baseless fucking
Yeah.
speculation and rumor.
Well, one thing I noticed was that there was a gate that had a switch, and you had to use some key to open it. And then later on, I went back to that gate, and there were messengers like
yeah,
I saw
falling
that
at
too.
it.
There's
Yeah.
visual
What?
adjustments.
And I think that was due to
You
it's
think that's an insight thing?
Insight.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
I've noticed
Huh.
that on certain boss fights, I don't think it's related to the memory glitch, that certain boss fights have extra attacks that
No.
other people don't see, and I feel like that might
No.
be insight related.
No,
but
that
I
has
don't
been
know.
confirmed by like Spy
Yeah.
and other people from the guide.
Yeah,
Insight
that is
insight
just-
specifically affects like
It's only visual.
yeah, it's visual. There are a couple enemies that actually change what they do. The dudes that like have the canes and like the top hats and the lanterns,
Yeah.
and like the lanterns shoot shit and they're covered in eyes. and
Oh,
you
is
have a
that
certain
based on
amount of
insight too?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I was
That's-
wondering
that's
what
what
triggered
that
that.
But
Wait,
then
are you
aside
sure
from-
that's based on insight?
Yeah, I'm pretty
thought it
confident.
was just
aside
later
from
in the
those like
game.
very specific enemies,
Yeah, me too.
Then it's just that's it.
Because there
Um,
was that shift in kind of tone, and I thought that was the reason for it. I thought that was the catalyst
No,
for
you-
them
you
changing.
I'm pretty confident that's insight. I might
You
be
see
wrong,
a few.
but-
You see a few things in the environment, which I'm not gonna spoil. I don't think they've been mentioned, but a few little, almost like Easter eggs in the environment. With higher insight, I think you have to have above 45 insight. Or 40 insight. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, other than that, it's like y'all said. It's literally there's not much to it, but it does affect the beast transformation like meter or whatever. So like the beast
Transformation
pellet
in quotes. Yeah.
Oh,
in
huh.
quotes. So yeah, it's like the lower insight you have, the longer it takes it to build up damage.
Beast transformation
And
meter.
the higher you have, yeah,
I don't
the,
know
the
what that
higher you
means.
What,
have.
what,
The beast
stuff,
pellet, you'll
I
never
still
use the
don't
beast pellet?
understand. The beast
Yeah,
pellet,
it
I
is.
still don't get them.
It's a really confusing mechanic. Yeah.
They won't know about the Beast Hood stuff until they do Chalice Dungeons.
I've only done.
That's the only reason.
I can see
done
what
a
you mean
little
by that, but they do have like the beast pellet, which
Right.
like everyone gets every playthrough. I figured maybe y'all. Had
I never tried
at least
one.
Yeah,
tried it or
I've used
something.
them a few times, but it didn't seem to change anything. Like I didn't get. I mean, I couldn't pick up any differences in terms of stamina.
Well,
or
you want
health
to
or anything
know
like that.
you want to know what it is, or you want to figure it out on your own. I guess.
I maybe we'll see. Like if it's critical to talk about later,
Okay.
maybe.
Oh, yeah, it's
um,
just a little mechanic. You can
Yeah,
figure
it
out
doesn't.
on your own.
But it seems like it should be so much more significant. But I guess it like you use the beast pellet and then you kind of I don't know maybe hit your enemy several times in a row and then you turned into a beast or something. I don't know.
I think it's a really shitty. It's a really kind of shitty situation because the way it's worded from FromSoft really does give you the impression that you can actually change into something.
That's what I
That's
thought.
what
I
I
thought it would
thought.
transform me
That's
into
what I
a
thought.
beast
Yeah.
temporarily. Like a
I would
buff.
turn
They
into
put
like
a lot of emphasis
what
on it.
what's his name? Whatever
Papa Gascoigne.
Gascoigne.
Gascoigne?
Gascan, yeah, he did the same. I thought that's yeah. I thought that's what you would. That's what would happen
Right.
if you used a beast pellet or two, or worked up some sort of beast meter, and you would just turn into a beast like that guy did.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that was like huge talking point and speculation like prior to the game's release, and then even
Yeah,
after the game's
I
release. But I don't know. I think. See, the problem is, like, FromSoft's notoriously bad for their descriptions on things.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Yeah.
Like
notoriously
freaking
Well,
humanity and Dark
and then-
Souls.
Translation
1.
doesn't help
Good
things
lord.
either.
Well, exactly, right? So you have FromSoft who are describing this really vague mechanic that they're, for some reason, trying to keep really
Vague?
secretive.
Vague.
Vague.
Vague?
Vague.
What, I'm Canadian. That's my excuse.
Okay.
So,
Let's go on.
anyways, there's like they're really bad about describing things like that. So you have this very poorly worded description, and then it's getting translated, and then people are
Yeah.
taking that translation to be
Mhm.
the literal meaning of things. And then even transformation or beast transformation, you can kind of interpret it to how it actually functions. But it's not like your initial interpretation of what the word means. It's just like, okay, well, I literally turn into a beast. That seems to be the case, especially
Yeah.
based on everything that the game is. But it's like, I don't know.
It's like how people say, "Oh, he's going beast mode on that" or something
Oh.
like that.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
like-
what it kind of is?
It's more akin to like a berserker.
Okay,
really.
yeah.
It's damage.
okay.
That's-
Okay.
You
Yeah,
do more damage, you
it's-
take more damage. It's like
It seems like
That's
there's more to it.
literally
That
all
seems
there is.
such
That's a letdown.
like such a yeah,
exactly,
it
right?
is.
Like it's just
There's got to be
but-
there. I wonder if there was more to it at one point. Like it was actually
See-
like because Gascan, he's actually a hunter. I assume that you could do the same thing, right? Like it seemed
Yeah.
like that's what it was telling you. Like, hey, you can become this badass at some point later on in the game, but it just
But
kind of
I think the whole point
guess
is
not.
like just becoming a beast in that way is bad. Like that's not something you want
That's,
to
that's,
happen.
that's the
It's
equivalent
like-
of going hollow.
yeah,
right? Like,
Yeah,
Because
it's
you're
like
hunting
Vicar immediately
beasts. You're hunting
transforming.
beasts.
Yeah, so
I get
it-
that.
and that's like a permanent thing. Like, so why would you as a character want to do that? I mean, sorry, but I was just saying was if you were to transform into like an actual beast, I would have thought that would have been like the game's equivalent to like curse or like petrification, right?
Maybe
You-
at that point you trigger. Maybe at one point, like you trigger PvP. Like that's how you get into PvP. You turn into a beast, and you can have people invade you, and you just
Yeah, I thought
Oh,
whenever
weird.
I heard about people hunting other players, I thought
yeah.
players were gonna
The Dragon Covenant, Dark
what
Souls
I
1.
what I was under the impression of, and this may have been the original intent, and they strayed from it because of time frame. Who knows? But I was under the impression early on there's like some stuff from interviews or something, and I guess don't quote me on this because I didn't really dig into it, but something about like tainted blood, and then like you take too much tainted blood, then you can turn into a beast, and then players would hunt the players that have become beasts.
That would be
and-
pretty cool.
And
See,
so,
I
yeah.
remember reading that too, but I think that was just like someone's
Yeah.
speculation on like an interview
It
or
could
something
have
that was
been,
posted on Reddit
yeah.
afterwards. But we just thought it was
I recall that too. I think.
I remember hearing about tainted blood though.
Yeah.
but
That sounds right.
And
The beast mode. The
consuming
beast
too
mode
much.
alludes to that. So.
Yeah.
well,
um,
it's just so many descriptions, like just legitimately say beast transformation. Like,
Yeah,
it's like how do you interpret that any other way? But
I thought that maybe the beast roar thing had something to do with it as well. Like if you use the beast roar into beast pellet or something, you could just like immediately trigger beast mode.
well, that's kind of the
Yeah, it would be
hilarious
similar
thing.
to like the dragon head in Dark Souls 1. You use
Yeah.
that to
That's
transform
true.
into a dragon.
Transform into a quote unquote dragon. The dragon form in Dark Souls 1 was so stupid, like the
What?
little like,
Silly.
stubby
Yeah.
tail.
That was all right.
You get like
Yeah.
the little stubby tail and the
And
big
the wings.
big
Tried.
wood
And the wings, too.
wood carved wings.
Yeah.
I guess it
Like
could have looked
cardboard
cooler,
wings on the
but
back.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was a neat idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
It's weird
it was a
and
cool
interesting.
idea.
They keep going like halfway with that transformation. stuff.
Yeah,
They need
yeah.
to like.
In Dark Souls 2, it looked they looked like they were just for some reason or another they transformed. They had this really like almost like flaky look to. I didn't like the Dark Souls.
It was like
2
an actual
dragon
armor.
Oh
transformation.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
even
Like an
you
armor,
don't even
but, like,
transform.
I didn't like the look of it. Yeah, it was
Maybe one day
weird.
they'll get their real transformation.
maybe maybe we'll actually
If they get time.
transformation souls, transformer souls.
Transform souls.
You just
Pick
Mike
your
Bay.
beast.
boss and just
Michael Bay and Miyazaki.
Animorph
God.
souls.
Like, I kind of thought that they would at least do something like Gascan, like his transformation
Prodigy.
mid-fight, that you'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, that seemed pretty cool.
Like sort of a clutch mode or something. You run out of blood vials and you just trigger beast mode because, fuck it.
I don't know.
So you guys were talking about
Yeah.
Ron the Spider earlier, and I also didn't want to kill him. In fact, I was
didn't
so
want to.
convinced that he was the good guy that I went back
Yeah.
up and I killed Willem instead. I was like, this guy has got the spider enslaved. He's got to be like
Yeah.
trapping the spider, making
Interesting.
him doing his
Do this.
bidding. He's
I still gotta
pointing.
kill him. Still gotta kill him.
That was like the best part because I love so much how you walk up to him on your first playthrough and you assuming you haven't read a bunch of guides or
Right,
watched
yeah.
playthroughs, or if it's a blind playthrough, you walk up and you talk to Willem and he points with his staff like at the
water.
like at
yeah.
the
go.
edge. And you're like, what? And then I walked to the edge, and I remember when I first played through, I walked to the edge, and I was like, I know what to do here. I know exactly what to do, and I just jumped in. I was like, yep, it's like Painted World 2.0. That's awesome.
Or like the
Love
beginning
that.
of Dark Souls 2 as well.
There were a lot of like little subtle throwbacks to like the previous games in this, which I
Oh,
kind of
oh,
found
yeah.
really nice.
It's the bowling
Oh,
alley.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit like
what?
the
Oh
Hellkite
wait, bowling
Bridge.
alley.
What?
Oh, he means the where they roll the giant boulder at you.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah. Well, that was the Drake on the bridge thing. This is the same
Yeah.
bridge. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a good throwback.
What about Patches?
Oh God, they even called him Patches. Couldn't they have at least called him
Wait.
something
Yeah.
other than Patches? I don't know.
Who is this?
The spider.
Patches.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got
Wait,
Patches'
did
fucking
they
face.
did they actually call him?
Yes,
Patches?
there's somewhere in the game where it actually says his name. Oh yeah, it's the credits.
Patches the
Yeah.
spider.
The spider, the
Wait,
human
really?
spider
Yes.
thing.
Yes,
I
it
was
is.
wondering
Where
why
does
I
it- where does
recognize
it
his
say
face.
that? Where
That's
does it say-
amazing.
It must have
No,
been
no.
for the
Credits.
voice actors who their characters.
Oh,
that they
in the
play.
Yeah.
credits, it says
Yeah.
Patches the
Oh.
spider
Yup.
in the credits.
Shit.
That's
Wow.
fucking hilarious.
Patches
nice.
the spider. I mean,
Nice,
I
new
knew
tap.
it's
Yeah.
Patches, but
Yeah.
but the fact
Well,
that
the
in
thing
the
is-
credits it says Patches the spider, that's kind of
I never triggered whatever he was supposed to do, I guess. I think it might have glitched out. I don't know. But I went down to that spot and like he's leading you up to it to do something to you, and he never did it to me.
In Nightmare Frontier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
I went to that same spot. Nothing happened. I kept looking like, hey, do your thing now. It looks like you're supposed to do something. I see you up there. Come on.
Proceed for miracle. It's like,
But
Did
one thing I wanted
you-
to talk about on ROM, there's ROM and what's the other one? Abritus. They both don't talk when you approach them.
Right.
And one theory that I have right now, and I'll follow up on this with my next playthrough, but I think you can use the
Make contact.
Yeah, make
I was thinking
contact
about
just like
that.
you can, as long as you're using the cage.
So I didn't-
the cage thing.
I had make contact by the time I got to Ebrietas, but I didn't know how to use it properly. I wasn't patient enough.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said that I got to like 58 seconds or something when I first tried it down with the brain, and then I walked away.
me and
Ah.
Frosty knows a lot about it. Frosty, you remember whenever I was trying to make contact?
Uh-huh.
Me, you, and Spy, I was just contacting with everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Freaking everything.
Like literally everything. It was driving them nuts. They're like, "Oh my god, Pete!" But yeah, and
because you
for
have to make
anyone,
contact.
Yeah.
and for anyone who's listening, like I said earlier, New Tap and Sonos, they're still like trying to find things and like speculating on things. So yeah, I was trying to make contact with the world. It lasted probably about 2 hours. I went around
Which world?
contacting everything.
That's amazing.
Everything.
Everywhere.
Everything in the game
Like-
is that what? Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Spy had been up for
I
like
did that a little bit
20
too.
hours straight, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, God, Peeve, please just let me tell you, please. And then it's just like Peeve's just like, nope, I have an idea. And he just walks up to like the most random place. He's just, we're making contact. And then the whole chat's like freaking out. And then I just got so fed up with it that I just started like just going along with it. And it was the most ridiculous thing. But like,
That's part of
chat's
the
all
fun, though.
spamming like,
Like when you don't know.
they're spamming like the two things to give their emotes arms and stuff.
The
Yeah,
conspiracy theories.
I kind of lucked out with mine. I walked up to the brain thing, and I just happened to. Well, I was trying things, looking around, like, okay, how do I fight you? Should I kill you? Are you friendly? Well, trying to figure it out, much like ROM.
Well, does
And,
New Tap know about
Yeah, I
this?
got the rune.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So
Yeah, I
y'all-
think it's
so y'all
pretty
already
safe.
know.
But I
Okay,
didn't go. But I
alright,
didn't
yeah.
do it on
Kind
Ebrietas
of
before I
dancing
killed
around
him.
it. I didn't know y'all knew.
Yeah, so I just happened to open a note, and it said something about contact. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever. I just completely threw out that information, and then
You
later
thought it was
on,
like an eye contact.
What?
what? Yeah. Well, eventually
I
I was
guess
like,
that's
what?
pretty
Does it
good.
need a contact? That's a big eye, so maybe maybe it really needs one or something. I don't know. Or eye drops. I don't know. Anyways, I just happened to open the gesture menu, and right there in the middle,
Oh.
my middle gesture is make
Nice.
contact. And I was like, okay. Oh, this is it. Okay. And I just left it there, and eventually I got it just by luck.
I tried doing all kinds of dumb things, like I would position my character so that my arms would both arms would be touching some parts of him at the same time.
You want to know do you know exactly what like triggers it from the emote?
It's when you switch over to the other orientation.
Yeah,
You wait a
yeah.
minute.
It's
and it
whenever it
switches. I didn't realize. So
switches,
yeah.
I was after I killed Ebrietas. I was sitting there, and then Mags comes up to me, and she's like distracting me. But I was in the middle of make contact, so I left it, and I looked away, and I didn't realize, and the chat went nuts, like, "Oh, you made contact!" But I didn't see what it was. So I had to go back and watch the recording later to figure out what had happened.
Interesting.
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 Yeah. Finally, Spy was like Spy was freaking out. He's like, "Oh my god, the stupid brain that you dropped from a mile up. There's now an elevator, and you can go down to it and make contact with it. Just go." Do it, Pete, please.
I felt
I was
so
like,
bad because
okay.
he was like literally about to fall asleep. He's passing out
he
on
was-
stream, and I just
He was-
Yeah,
he was
I actually went down
not
there before the brain fell down there. I didn't know what it was. Like I
Oh,
thought it
can
was
you?
like, oh wait, the abyss is in this game.
I wasn't sure what triggered
is
it
going on
exactly.
here?
Was it just the elevator from after Mikolash? That's what drops
It's
it.
always
No.
there. The elevator is. You can,
No,
you
the
can-
elevator's not always there.
No,
is
I
it?
think it's after
No.
that wide
after
one
you
goes
kill,
up.
Yeah, after you kill Mikolash, the wide elevator
okay.
goes up,
That one
and
goes
then
down.
the small elevator goes down to the bottom.
Yeah,
Oh.
I went down there before I even dropped the brain down there.
Yeah, I went down there before
Yeah,
I
I
could
missed-
make
I missed
contact.
all of
I had
that.
no idea.
I was so mad.
Is there a name for that? Because I've just been calling it the meatball spaghetti brain.
People
tumor.
say
Mini monster.
people say mother brain.
It's the
Okay,
brain of Mensis.
brain of Mensis.
I've heard mother brain.
mother brain.
Yeah.
But,
I make contact with its eye with my cane a lot.
The other place that had
Dick.
good messages was after Ebrietas. The messages on the floor were all like, "Remember the vile blood queen" or something.
Hmm.
So
Was it made out of messengers, like little tiny bodies of the messengers? I couldn't tell.
which
The brain?
Wait,
Oh,
Oh
the
yeah,
brain.
that's what I thought too. It looks
Wait,
like
what?
it, but yeah, the brain. If you look closely at the texture, it looks like a bunch of messengers just kind of like
whoa,
laying down, face
No.
down. Yeah, it looks like
the
it.
the really cool thing is those like big the enemies that walk around with kind of like the song kind of thing, the
Oh,
big
yeah.
brains. They have
The ones
Yeah.
that cause frenzy.
Fuck those things.
Yeah,
Fuck
they're
'em.
the most obnoxious enemies
the
in the
brain
game.
trust.
But-
Somebody called him.
Yeah, brain trust.
But the weird thing is, if you actually look at their clothing, it's the same. It's the doll.
Yeah, somebody
uniform.
posted that on Twitter.
It's
the
a
other
doll
day.
armor set,
Interesting.
and then the head is just a ton of like messengers, like
Interesting.
all kind of like warped together. That's what the big brain is. It's
I never
really, really
noticed the
interesting.
messenger thing. You know, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
One moment. It's gonna drive me
No,
nuts.
yes, but no, I don't know. I think this game did a really good job about having just so much content. A that you could just straight up
Oh, yeah.
miss,
yeah.
and then B just stuff that you really had to figure out yourself. Like the sense of exploration and discovery in this game is
The
insane.
entire
Yeah.
game felt like one huge mystery, and like I was unraveling different
Yeah,
pieces of it.
yeah.
And at some like at some point, I'm going to come to some huge revelation. It felt like that the entire game.
How would you compare this game to like previous games though? In that aspect,
I think it was more mysterious. I think it like
oh,
it triggered
far,
like my
far
conspiracy
more.
theory brain a lot more than than previous games.
Well, the thing is, like for me, what really set it off is I was in the I think it's called the Forbidden Woods
Snake
with the
pit.
snakes.
yeah.
Yeah. I saw this. I saw the alien thing, and I thought that it was some kind of okay. I'm in the woods. Oh, this is very reminiscent of the toads in the Darkroot Forest.
Hmm.
Remember, little cute little things. I thought they might have been harmless at first. Of course, I get closer and I find out otherwise. But I was like, wait, what is this? Are these look like aliens? These aren't mushrooms. No, there's not aliens in this game. And I just kept going on. Like, okay, there are actually aliens in this game. What the hell is going on? And especially when I finally got to the emissary of the
Celestial
Cosmos
emissary.
fight, I was,
Someone's got
I
a
was
video.
just mind fucked.
Someone's got a
Mind
video of them doing the celestial emissary fight, and then it's just the X-Files music playing in the background
Yeah.
the whole time. It's just so
Yeah,
good.
and there was
Like-
even in the woods, there was something about they kept mentioning the truth or something. I was like, okay,
The truth
aliens,
is
the
out
truth
there.
is
Oh my
out
God.
there. This is insanity. This is insanity.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no hints of any aliens in any of the trailers or the marketing or any of that kind of stuff. But when you play through it, it kind of comes
That's
out of
true.
left field. It's
Yeah,
felt
that
very
part
bizarre.
of it was not present in any of the marketing materials.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
And thankfully
Yeah.
so.
Well, that's another really kind of interesting thing that I really appreciate about FromSoft. Like, think about how many other games that have been coming out recently where you just know everything about it before it's even launched. Like,
Yeah.
Bloodborne came out and we know almost nothing about the game in general. Like, how long did it take for us to figure out multiplayer?
Yeah.
Not to say that multiplayer actually worked at the start, but
Right,
that's,
right.
that's a separate discussion.
Yeah,
Um,
that's entirely
just
discussion.
from
Also,
being
I'm
from
back, and I couldn't find a big enough picture to really judge it. I'll take y'all's
What
word
are your
for it.
thoughts on the messengers? You think so too?
I
Messenger brain?
didn't get to really. There was no big enough images that I
Okay.
could find, but Maybe
That would be
someday.
interesting if someone confirms that's the case. Like that just like throws a new wrench in the whole thing, like figuring it out. Yeah, and I think I was also trying to make contact with the aliens because that's
yeah.
when you fight the emissary. It's like right after you make contact. So
Yeah.
it's like making contact. Close encounters of the third kind.
I was
thing.
definitely running around that boss fight trying to do the make contact and then running away.
Yeah, I think I was too. I believe. It was such a weird fight.
I
It
don't.
was weird.
I don't really. We're talking about the celestial emissary, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that is the stupidest boss fight.
It was pretty weird.
Yeah.
It's kinda dumb.
I can't disagree with that. It's so goofy.
I
Just take
think-
a little enemy, make him big, and then give him lasers.
I think the
Done.
whole point of it though is to. I think the whole point of it though is to make you go like that's it, and right behind him is the glass to break to get to Breedus, our macaroni monster as
Yeah,
we
he's
know.
like Abridus' secretary or
Macaroni
something.
monster.
Like,
He's got she's got macaroni noodles everywhere, and so
you're the most ridiculous person.
she
Like,
she is related to Pasta of the First Sin. I promise you.
Wow.
oh, it's literally the flying spaghetti monster. That is yes. That is the
Yeah.
the king of the cosmos. It's the flying spaghetti monster.
Perfect.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean, the
And
brain
she is
is
the
very
daughter of the
reminiscent of that.
Uh-huh. Jesus Christ.
But that's funny though, because what really made it seem goofy, that fight to me, was right before that you have one of the most eerie areas in the whole game, that haunted house area. The
Yeah.
one area in the whole game that I literally didn't want to progress forward because it was so fucking scary.
Oh, upper
Very much
Cathedral.
represent, very much what is it, reminiscent of Tower of Latria with the
Yeah.
the face sucker things too.
Those enemies. God.
Dude,
Yeah.
I got so
Like-
screwed on that a moment ago because I was streaming for a little bit and I ended up doing an invasion in there, and whenever I did it, I beat the host, and the moment I spawned back right before the invasion, I killed one of those guys. Like right before it started up, he died, he fell over, and then I went into the invasion. Whenever I came out of it after defeating the host, it didn't register that I had killed him. And so the moment I spawned in, it hit me with a like the moment my screen came back up, I was already caught in his little laser move that like binds you.
Oh god.
And so it's like the moment it came up, before I even could see my character,
You were already trapped.
The screen came up and I was already trapped. And then he grabbed me and I was like, "What?"
Screw that guy.
I was like,
my
dude.
god.
Slurpy.
Dude.
Yeah, that's messed.
That's like the five wolves
The
in
most-
the room. Oh Jesus.
Got screwed.
Yeah. The most obvious callback to Demon Souls, by the way, that
Mhm.
right there, that enemy right
Yeah.
there, same move set, same look,
Yeah.
everything. And that's one of the most stressful moments in the entire game is when that thing grabs you and when the brain ladies
Yeah.
grab you. Like I hated it. It just sets me off. It's
I hate the brain ladies so much.
yeah.
The brain ladies really aren't that bad to me anymore because I was watching Nelson go through that area, and he'd be getting a bunch of frenzy, and then he would just sit there, bait out that grab attack from the brain enemy. Parry it.
Oh, get it
Yeah.
back.
He's immune to the
Yeah.
frenzy. Well, no.
Wait,
because
wait,
He
he's
got
immune?
that from me. He
Yeah,
got that from me.
because-
That's my
How do you
you're
get
strat.
immune to the
Oh,
frenzy?
You're
by
in the
parrying
parry
it?
animation.
Yeah,
You're in the
it's-
parry
you got,
animation.
like,
You can take
Oh,
damage
I
from
see
Wow,
the
what you
that's
mean.
animation,
clever.
Gotcha.
right?
That's nice.
So, yeah, like it's just really, really, really cool. Apparently, you can also like just roll it if your timing's really good, but I
You
haven't
can roll
I-
that?
Is it-
figured out a way to do it.
You
Apparently,
can-
but
You can roll it, and I didn't
Like
believe him.
bleed
Like
roll?
I was doing that. Yeah, like I was farming those things early on for some gems, and I was doing that to avoid people like, what the hell? Everyone watching me, they're like, what are you doing? Why do you keep trying to fight? I'm like, I'm using the like iframes from the parry animation, but I'd mess it up, and I'd get my ass beat. And people are like, oh my God, just roll through it, you idiot. And I'm like, you can't roll through it. That's ridiculous. And I tried a few times. I couldn't do it. And then Brandon tried on his stream, like at the same time. Everyone's like, oh my God, Brandon just did it. So Brandon did it his first try. And then I talked to him afterwards. He's like, yeah, I did it the first try, but I couldn't do it again ever since.
Huh.
So-
it was super inconsistent for me. Like I did it once
Yeah.
or twice, but it's not
It's-
something I can do consistently.
It's a really small like window, and I hate how they. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's the singing because it's as if they're so nonchalant about it. They don't care, and it's like
Yeah.
It drives me nuts as an enemy. I hate
I think
them
it's
because
more
they
like-
grab you and they and they're just
They're
singing
cocky.
and yeah, it's like it's a very they're very smug, and I
Yeah.
hate them. I want
Yeah.
to slap them in all their little
then they wreck
baby
you.
mouths.
I got the
They
sense.
have all the little baby mouths. I want to just backhand them.
I get the sense that they couldn't help themselves. Like the frenzy thing that they're doing to you is just something that happens. It's just who they are. They can't even help it.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
they
just
can
trying to
help
give you a
grabbing
hug.
you.
Oh,
and
that
try
part.
Well,
to
they have
eat you.
eyes
They
all
just
over
want to
them.
give you a hug. They just
You-
want to have some
Mhm.
friends.
You don't even have to look at them, or they don't have to look at you for it to frenzy you because they have
Yeah.
eyes all over
yes.
the place.
It's kind of
Too many
interesting.
eyes.
Like the emotions of the NPCs in this game. It's really pretty apparent. I know Peeve's been going on about how Vicar Amelia
Mhm.
like clutches her pendant, and she doesn't
Oh,
really
I
attack with her
love
Yeah,
left
it's
hand.
great.
If
Great
you actually
detail.
do the fight,
It's
really
Yeah.
really cool.
my first playthrough. I noticed that the very first time I fought Vicar Amelia. That is the boss fight that like sucked me into the game, because you go in at the beginning, like you see her like clutching her pendant, and then during the boss fight, she's not swinging with like her I think it's her left hand. She's holding the pendant as close to her as possible, and she starts like literally throwing a temper tantrum, slapping at the floor and stuff, not even attacking you a lot of times, just trying to get you away because she thinks you're trying to come and take her pendant, and she's just freaking the hell out, just throwing a tantrum like a child, and because
Yeah.
she's scared. And they did such a good job of portraying that atmosphere that I was just like in awe. Like my first playthrough, I was like, oh my god, she like doesn't want me near her pendant. She's freaking out right now. So it's like, and then she like tries to like pray at some point because it's all she knows to do, and it's just, and that, I mean, that's whenever she heals herself. But you know, it's a very atmospheric boss fight. I love Vicar Amelia.
I wonder what the relation is between her and the cleric beast, because they're both very similar. One of them has like that big hand. The other one's only using one hand most of the time, and they both have the loud screams. They have very similar
antlers.
bodies in terms of the
antlers.
antlers. Yeah. So I wonder maybe if the cleric beast is like what happens if Vicar Amelia loses her pendant or something like that.
Interesting.
I
think-
wonder how the
Nah.
relationship is between them.
I think it's just I forget exactly where this is. It might be in the interview with Miyazaki in the guide, but Miyazaki had basically said at some point that the religious, like the clerics or whatever, they are the ones that transform into the most ridiculous and
The
abhorrent
more
beast
faith
kind of
you
thing.
have.
the priest or the
Yeah.
fierce beast kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
It's actually really interesting how much of a kind of critique on religion that is, like, from Miyazaki. He's always done that kind of stuff in
Oh,
all his
yeah,
games,
yeah.
but
Like are they a part of the choir of the church?
yeah. Well, she's sitting
yeah,
in
yeah.
the cathedral and she's praying like that.
Oh.
That's,
That
She
it
a member of
explains
the choir?
the loud screams too.
The high
Yeah.
level members
Yeah.
of the church.
Yeah, yeah. They're the ones preaching the gospel the loudest.
And-
for the
Do y'all mind Newtaf and Sonos if I mention like some a theory by Vadi about the cleric beast?
It's probably fine, I think.
Like,
I guess it's
Laura,
Laura, I
fine,
don't
sure.
really care about, I guess.
Vadi released a video where he basically states that he believes the cleric beast is actually Ludwig, and
Oh.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know how true that is, but I just want to
And
say
is there
if
any
that's the case.
anything in particular that says like where he
yeah, he
got
has-
this
yeah.
theory from?
I would have to go back and watch the video.
Okay, because I wonder where he gets
I
this theory from.
I just want to say that I'm going to go ahead and jump to the conclusion that Ludwig and Amelia, that Ludwig and Amelia are they're together. I'm gonna what's the term? Ship them. I'm gonna ship them.
But wasn't Ludwig
Oh,
supposed to
that's
be
the
one of
pendant. Maybe it's a
I
picture
hereby
of
ship
him.
them. Huh?
Maybe the pendant is a picture of him.
Yeah,
There-
yeah.
there
it
It's he's got it's a picture.
Maybe you should use the
She's got
pendant
a
before you
picture.
fight the cleric beast in New Game Plus. Maybe something happens there. Because again, like the umbilical cords, it triggers a different thing. Maybe the pendant does the same for that fight.
I think all the pin. I don't know, but I would assume all the pendant is you get a gem out of it. So
Right.
That's it though. Like it seems
I
like there's more
don't-
to it.
I mean, at this point, who knows? But
Someone should
yeah.
test that.
yeah, I tested a lot of stuff on my first playthrough. It's just anything. I was like, this is it. Here we go. And I'd use something. It's like, nope.
Yeah, that's with the umbilical cords. That's what I was doing before I used them, because I just like on a hunch used the remains of the Vile Blood Queen on the
Yeah.
altar, and so I thought that okay, yeah, that's kind of despairing that she died. So I thought, well, the umbilical cords are kind of a symbol of a failed kid or something. You know, everyone you get it from, they
Mhm.
died, or at least Iosefka. So I thought that if I brought all three back to the altar of despair, I could summon something, and no dice.
That was going to be what I was going to
That
do.
was my first test. Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice.
So what do you guys think about like the NPCs in general? Actually, I'd be curious to see what you think, Solal, because you didn't actually play the game; you just kind of watch people. Like, did you get much of an appreciation of the NPCs themselves, or?
It's a little bit tough to follow along because I'm actually half watching and not watching because I do not mind the spoilers, but I also don't want to ruin the experience entirely for my playthrough.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mostly watch other people's streams in the effort to complete my own thoroughly without having to miss a whole lot. Because that's what I kept hearing when Bloodborne first came out, is that people would accidentally finish the game and not realize who the endgame boss was, and they'd be upset that they're thrown into New Game Plus without exploring everything.
My chat warned me about it. They decided it would be like I hadn't even gone to Upper Cathedral Ward, and I was like, well, I guess I'd missed the key in Yahar'gul. So they said you're not done yet, or like be careful if you go into the next area.
Yeah, the ending snuck up on me. Everything's there. The house is on fire, and she's like, "You're gonna wake up soon," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna wake up, but before
What
we
does that
do
mean?
that, I'm gonna go and have a chat with old Gehrman and see what he thinks about this." And so
Oh man,
I like go into the back, and I'm like, "Oh, I messed up." And then next thing I know,
Yeah.
it's like GG.
so once you start fighting him, if you don't kill him, you can go off and do other stuff, right?
I
But
beat.
this is assuming you
I
fight him.
I whipped
Assuming
his
you fight him.
ass first playthrough. Yeah,
That's assuming you fight him, right?
That's the thing. I think they could have done a better job, at least with that choice. Because and I brought this up before, but there are instances where at least they're kind of training you with each of the NPCs. Do you tell them to go to Iosefka or to Cathedral Ward, or do you refuse to offer that information? If they did that towards the end, I think it would have more clearly stated that, okay, this is the end.
Yeah.
It's come down to these two choices. Because I thought, and this is why I chose refuse the first time, I thought that was like refuse and walk away. And that wasn't the case. And then it was over.
Oh, wow.
I got forced into New Game Plus when I had a ton of shit to do. And that was a kind of I think it kind of spoiled the ending for me, to be quite honest, because they don't, like, for me, I thought, well, if refuse doesn't mean what I think it means, well, it's just a transition. The dream is over. Yeah, I get Nightmare and Hunter's Dream, but I thought that something else would happen before it's actually over. And it's also just kind of a weird place to put the ending, like right around the corner of this place that you see constantly. I didn't think it would be in such a
I thought that was
haphazard
really
area.
It does
cool.
make a lot more sense if you actually go through the lore of the game, but I don't know. I find that it's so convoluted that it's
Yeah.
really hard to have a good understanding
Yeah.
of what's going on at that point on your first playthrough, especially if you hadn't gone through and explored all the areas and gotten all the items and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Like when I was watching Sonos play, like I think he got probably 90% of the entire game before hitting Gehrman, and he didn't realize this might have been the end. And there was like no cues like in the previous games, like Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. Like Sonos talked about this in person with me, where like there's actual environmental cues, like a long pathway to get to Gwen or that kind of stuff. Like it's just around
Nishandra
the
as
corner in the dream. Yeah, Nishandra as well.
Well, the other thing too about Gwyn is set up to be the endgame boss. Like
Throughout the
know
game,
about Gwyn,
that's
you've
true.
been told about Gwyn through the whole game. It's just
True.
part of the cutscene and stuff. So then you're in the kiln of the first flame, and you're going through, and it's this giant area, and you kind of know that this.
It
is
also doesn't
right?
help that they talk about awakening in different ways. Like when you go to the headstones to go warp back to the world, they say awaken above ground. Like they
Yeah,
can't
that's true.
you can't confuse or conflate the two.
I wonder if that was an issue due to translation.
Maybe.
You know, they had all these
Well-
different ways to translate it, and they just chose the wrong way.
That would be a shame.
I think they are talking about the same thing, but I think it's just an end of the dream that like. So if you talk to Eileen, like you do her quests, I had been following Marcus's or Ian B's lore series or playthrough series, and he talks about this as well. Like talking to the other hunters, Eileen knows about the doll. She knows about the dream, but she specifically says, "I no longer dream. This is it. Like if I'm done,
Yeah.
I'm done." So.
But that's the
I
thing,
think
like if that's stuff you can't really pick up, like you said, unless you're on your second playthrough or you're watching someone else play.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if you're not going to get that, and most people aren't, at least communicate it in other ways too. So like for me, I kind of felt like I would appreciate it a lot more if the ending didn't just come out of nowhere, like I would have been able to like appreciate what they were saying or communicating with that ending.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
too distracted by like, oh shit, this fucking sucks. I'm not ready.
Yeah. The doll. That's about all you get. I mean, the house is on fire. I guess they figured that was
that is true. I
The
really like
house
that
is on
too.
fire, and the doll
Yeah.
doll is like, this dream will end.
Uh-huh.
Go have a chat with old Garamond. Go ahead. And it's like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
one thing you realize.
Okay, I'm gonna go talk to Garamond now. I'll be right back to level up some more. And it's like, she's like, no, you're not. Later.
Yeah. I like how they communicate that with the headstones. Like as you go up the stairs, like you finish each headstone, and you get to the house, and now it's burned down. Okay, you're done with the game. Go finish it.
Actually,
Yeah,
is
I guess they don't really
interesting-
tell you an objective in Bloodborne, do they? Like in
Yeah,
Dark Souls 1, it was go find Gwen. Dark Souls 2 is go find the king. Just kidding, go find
They're
Chandra.
trying to end the
and
hunt.
Bloodborne,
That's
what
what
do they
You're
tell you?
supposed to
Yeah.
end the
Yeah.
nightmare. Like that's the
Mhm.
goal. You sign the contract to end the nightmare, like to end the hunt type thing, right?
Wait, what?
So then when you when you
beginning?
kill Murgo's wet nurse, it specifically says
Nightmare
nightmare
slain.
defeated.
Yeah.
Nightmare
That's a
slain.
very nightmare slain. Like that's a very different
Mhm.
ending message than all
Right.
the other things that you done
wait,
before.
but how is that related to the contract? The contract at the beginning, I thought was wasn't to become a hunter. It was like
Yeah, it is.
It's like a waiver
the
for
contract-
the
the
blood
contract is to-
transfusion.
Yeah, but that's becoming a hunter. Like the contract is you sign the contract to become a hunter, and you do that by getting the blood transfusion. At least
thought-
that's my understanding of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Oh, I was
I thought
thinking
there was like find something about pale blood and ending
Yeah.
the hunt, or
oh yeah,
nightmare
Seek pale blood. Yeah.
blood.
to end the hunt or nightmare.
but
yeah.
pale blood is the
Yeah,
moon.
that's that
See,
note.
That's the
That's
thing,
the
right?
It's
moon?
I thought it was the
Well,
pink
pale
moon.
blood moon. The
Pale blood
yeah, the
moon.
pink
Yeah,
moon
yeah.
is-
So that
Right,
really
so you-
hints with the that other ending. That kind
Yeah,
of
the most you have is
Gotcha.
like they have a note like in the house, and there's a note on the chair whenever you first get off the
Right.
table right once the game starts, and there's one in the workshop in the back, and they basically say like seek pale blood to end this nightmare, and that's it. That's all you get. And that's
That must be the correct ending then.
Welcome to Miyazaki.
Yeah. Well, it really does make sense when you actually go back and start to go over things and you have the information in front of you. But it's making those connections on your first playthrough. I think that's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steep.
I don't know.
Bit of a
Yeah,
stretch.
it's a little much.
But that
right?
I mean that's kind of I can see that being the case for pretty much any Souls game. Like you're
Well, yeah,
left
to an
you're
extent.
left at the end of it of say you've never played a Souls game before. You beat for instance you beat Dark Souls 1. And you're just I remember beating Dark Souls 1 and being like whenever I finally went and beat it, I wasn't quite sure what I did other than go and kick some bosses' asses. But then if you really dig into it, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm an asshole. Like you went around like just, it's like, oh, because you're just trying to, it's like, oh, you're the chosen undead, you want to be the best, but you're like all these people in shitty situations, you're just making it worse. So I do like that they do that with their games. They paint you out to be the bad guy, but yeah, it's very vague. I mean, that just comes with
Much
the
more so in this
territory with these
game, yeah.
games. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, they didn't really have. I think where they made it a bit more vague is that they didn't give you specific goals like ring this bell, ring that bell. Okay, now collect these 4 souls, and now you can kill Gwen, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's the distinction I would make. Like, you look at Dark Souls, yes, it has that very vague kind of, I don't know what's going on. You learn about the lore afterwards, and it's all really cool and not something you would expect. But there is that very obvious sense of progression. Go ring the bells. Go kill Gwyn.
Get these
Or
4
go get the
souls,
Lord
and then the
Vessel
thing after
souls,
that is going to
and
be
then go kill Gwyn.
probably the end.
Yeah. At least at that very superficial level, you kind of have that understanding of what's going on in the game. Whereas with Bloodborne, I don't think it's as obvious. Or even think of something like Demon Souls. You're at the very start.
Yeah.
You're supposed to destroy the old one, or you're supposed to stop the old one, or the fog or whatever. And then you finally kill all of the bosses. You go back to the Nexus. Or yes, the Archdeacons, and you go back to the Nexus, and the floor has been removed. You talk to the Maiden in Black, and she's like, "Okay, let's proceed down to the lair of the old one." And you know exactly what's going to
Proceed
happen.
down
when you
below
go
to
down
its lair to
I would
be
say
Yeah,
that's
or something
precise,
like that.
Frosty.
Oh, I'm gonna stab you in the throat. I swear to God.
that's as close to an
But
analog as you can see. Like that door, that gate in Hunter's Dream, you see it and it's closed the entire freaking game until the very end. Like that's a little bit like the Nexus opening up at the end of Demon Souls, but it's
Yeah.
not as
But
obvious. It's not as like huge.
I think it's
Yeah.
supposed to. I think the thing is supposed to be the thing that makes you go, oh wait a minute. It's supposed to be the area, because you open it up and you're like, holy crap. There's this beautiful field of flowers behind the workshop that I didn't know about this whole time. The workshop's on fire. The doll said something about the dream ending.
It's all falling apart.
Maybe, yeah, everything. It's like the dream's falling apart, and it's like maybe I shouldn't talk to Gare, but that doesn't click in most people's minds. You just, Garmin, hey, what's up, man? It's been a while, and then it's like, oh.
I would just
okay.
never suspect the ending's literally right around the
Yeah.
corner, though. Like that for me, like that's such a leap.
I thought
Do you
thought
think
that was
it's
cool though.
Sorry, go
You
ahead.
think it's a little bit weird that Gearman is such a capable fighter, but he sits in
What
a
a jerk.
wheelchair this whole time?
He's missing a leg.
What,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
What?
If you look at his
Really?
leg, he's got like a peg
Oh.
leg.
Peg leg?
Hmm.
Yeah. He's got a wooden
But then
stick
he jumps
for his
up and
leg.
just
That's why
like
he's
jumps
like
all over the
limps.
place and whoops you.
dude is pretty
Yeah.
fucking agile for a
He
dude
pretty
with
much
no
wrecks
leg.
your
Like,
shit.
Like
when
he,
you're
he
fighting
also
him.
grows in size. I'm pretty sure. At
And
least
he
it seems that way.
he also gets a top hat.
The most important thing, right?
That is the most important
Oh,
part.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I like how he dresses for the occasion. It's as if well, it kind of makes sense.
The best hat in the game, by the way. Wore
Yeah.
that throughout.
It's as if it's like now that I think about it, him wearing a top hat because his hat isn't the top hat, but him wearing a top hat for the final fight is like it's almost as if it's like a ritual that he
like
does.
a dance.
Well,
It's a ball.
Well, I mean like a ritual that he does occasionally, and so
I see.
he's like
Gotcha.
dressed for it, So
Speaking of, what was everyone's approach for your first character and like their design or even their stats?
Threaded Cane
Strength.
all the way.
Thread-
I actually had a little bit of trouble with that because for every single Souls game, I've always started with whatever starting class or whatever character starts with the longsword or the straight sword equivalent,
Ah.
and there was none for this, and I was like, what do I do? So, but I ended up just playing it as a quality build, trying to just figure out, okay, well, what are my available weapons? What can I do? And that's just kind of how I played it. But
I came away disappointed.
yeah, I don't know.
With
Sorry?
your
No.
stats?
There
Your
weren't
stat
any
investment?
weapons big
Or-
enough for me.
Ah,
You
It
didn't
was
like the Kirk
fine,
hammer?
but it wasn't big enough. Like it's kind of a great hammer, but it's still not
Long
as big
enough?
as any of the great hammers in Dark Souls 1.
You're talking
Yeah.
to New Taff here.
I know.
New Taff had I remember one of his mains in Dark Souls 1 was the
Airplane wing.
just a little old lady with like a demon. I say, little, yeah. She had like a demon great machete. That was like New Taff's like go-to weapon for a long time, and just like no clothes, just demon great machete.
I will say though that the movesets that they did have in this made me feel a lot better than the ones in Dark Souls 2. A lot more weight behind the weapons. You know, like really great
Mhm.
movements.
very
Mhm.
satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
Smash.
That's kind
Yeah.
of a discussion I think we can touch upon a little bit here. So there's been a lot of talk through the community on, the lack of variety or the lack of weapons in the game. And I mean, I'm never going to say no to more options, but I really don't think that what we were given is lacking. And my argument is basically, if you look at Dark Souls 1 had 15 different like classes of weapons. And there's 15 different trick weapons in this game. And every one of the trick weapons has a wider range of available moves. Like there's now running R2s, there's transformation attacks, there's follow-up transformation attacks. You can attack with the L2 with certain weapons. Like the movesets are much wider to begin with. And a lot of like the variety, I suppose, if you want to call it that, for Demon Souls or Dark Souls 2 within a weapon class, it's almost like a reskin of the similar weapon.
I can do that.
Think of, you know, curved
I didn't like
swords.
Dark Souls 2. Too many weapon choices, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's when is it quality over quantity? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It's
Yeah, it was definitely the deep, the small but deep approach versus the wide but shallow approach.
Yeah. Whenever
I'm very
it comes,
disappointed there's no Moonlight Greatsword. That I was
yeah, how about that?
extremely disappointed.
I just realized that. Wow.
Well, just to touch upon that, they there is the speculation that Ludwig's Holy Blade is a reference to Ludwig von Beethoven, aka Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, I just read that today. That's such a leap.
It's a
That's a
leap,
massive
but
leap. I don't believe that. I don't buy that. I'm
I
sorry.
think it could be a cool
No.
way to.
They
No.
have a moon in the
A
game.
very
They're-
vague
if any
reference.
game should have a Moonlight Greatsword, it's this
It's
one.
this
Like
game.
It should be this
There-
one. Yeah.
No, it's not praise the sun in this game. It's praise the fucking
true.
moon in this game. As
And
far
there's
as I'm
no
concerned,
Moonlight Greatsword. I just, I,
And
I
there-
don't.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't compute.
huge
But-
missed opportunity.
There's a
But-
Moonlight Greatsword in fucking
Maybe
Armored
DLC.
Core.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
understand.
the DLC.
Like, I just
That
don't
is-
understand.
I'm
Maybe
sad
the
now.
DLC
I didn't
will
realize
be
that until
centered
now.
around it. Maybe it'll be the Moonlight Greatsword DLC, and
I thought I might be able to find it in like the last dungeon or something, but no. That is disappointing.
yeah,
I'm glad I know now, though, not to at least look forward to it.
yeah.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, like, you know, you think of, you know, curved swords. There's the falchion. There's the scimitar. There's the like the fury sword. There's the gold tracer. But they're all like basically the same thing. I mean, there's a couple variations in, you know, the fury
The
sword
R2s
is
are a
fire
little
damage,
different.
but you can.
But-
Yeah, but you can change the damage type in any of the weapons in this game. And yeah, it has a fancy R2, but there's a wider moveset options in any of the movesets in this game.
I wonder if
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
one of the reasons they did less is to try and help balance PvP a little bit more. I don't know if they succeeded in that at all. I haven't played enough.
well,
I think it's part of an overall attempt to streamline it for this
Yeah,
game. Honestly, I mean, there are far fewer stats to worry about, and they're very focused. You know exactly what they apply to, and there's no confusion about like what it means when you invest in this stat at all.
It's like,
Which I
Well,
really appreciate, honestly.
I would have liked a few, just a few more weapons, because right now it feels like
Yeah.
there's essentially one of, at most two of each weapon type. So it's like there's a rapier, there's a there's a mace, there's a great sword,
No great axe.
well,
Yeah.
you could argue that the hunter's axe is the
It's not a
because
great
it
axe.
does turn into
That's
a
more like a
longer
halberd.
axe,
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
But
yeah, it is.
It
more like a
is.
halberd,
It
but-
is.
But yeah,
got the spin
I
to
would
win.
say that it basically boils down to whenever you have the past games, the past Souls games, whenever you have their, I'm trying to think of the word,
Variety.
not variety, formula to the weapons. It's you have all these weapons that are essentially copy pasted move sets, but they all have like different stats. Whenever it's based on stats, the weapon variety is completely dependent on stats over move sets. Then you have a bunch of weapons that are rendered completely useless, like the Silver Knight straight sword in Dark Souls 1, and along with almost every other straight sword except possibly the long sword. Everyone always argues that the Balder side sword outclassed like every straight sword, and so it's like it just I don't know, it drives me nuts that that I could never use the Silver Knight straight sword. So at least this way, with it based on move sets, you instead have a lot more. Everything's a lot more viable. But I just wish there were a few more weapons. But I do agree that it's it's better to have it based on movesets and not, strictly stats and copy pasted movesets.
I think
would
there's enough
prefer that.
weapons there. You just can't, but you just look at how many you have to choose from, and it's not even that long of a list. You just can't erase that feeling that there isn't that many, even though you can do so much with that, what you have available. Plus, with how they deal them out, like you don't pick them up from enemies, you pick them up from, at set points, and instead of going down certain, it's almost better, this system, because with the gems you can choose how you use these weapons, and you can change it whenever you want, which it makes it, not to bring this up, but it makes it kind of such a big disappointment that you can't do the same with your stats like you can with blood gems, like switch.
I
it up
think
so
that
easily.
I think that right there is what the actual issue is.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to make it seem like, I don't want more variety. More variety is always going to be good. I don't really understand the idea of being disappointed what we were given. But I think what the issue is, you kill a boss, you get this boss soul, and now you can make this super awesome boss weapon. Whether or not it's actually good, it's just the idea of being able to make this cool new
that's
weapon
true.
that you found and you got. You kind of lose that.
But part of that was being able to stamp
you
your...
collect badges, but still.
Sorry, go ahead, Peeve.
I was just saying, in this game you collect badges instead, but still, it's
not really the same though. You know what I mean? Like it's just like or going into a new area and just finding this really cool weapon, whether or not it's good or not. That's kind of a moot point. Like but your initial impression of, oh, holy shit, I just found this really cool thing. You lose that in this game. So I would say that's something I'm a little bit disappointed in, but.
I think in terms of, I think that's something that we won't have to worry about the next game. Like this game is something that they put out, like it's a smaller, like you can get the sense across the board that it's a smaller scale project. It's very focused on what's there, and there's not a lot of features that we appreciated from previous games, but it's also their first outing on this next generation of consoles. So I think it's no surprise that we don't get the massive number of stats that they have to take even more time to balance, and same for weapons.
You don't think it was deliberately done that way? Not just like you almost make it sound like a budget.
I think it was deliberate. I think it was deliberate because they knew like how much time and the complexity of developing this new console. Like I just think it was a deliberate choice given how small scale their target was.
Let me put the question a different way. If for their next game, do you expect that they would go back to having like more stats and like? I guess.
Possibly. It depends. I think they're probably waiting on to see, like, assuming Miyazaki or the people that worked on Bloodborne will be working on the next FromSoft Souls-like game. I think they'll see how it turned out with this game before they decide, like, how wide they choose to go again, right? Because I'd like, and it remains to be seen how this will work out for multiplayer, but I do like that there's less to worry about, right? There are fewer variables, therefore the system isn't nearly as complex, and you can appreciate it on a more mechanical level and not this like numbers crunching game,
I guess so.
right?
I do like a lot of the places they've streamlined. I think I hope they actually carry it forward. I don't need more stats. Dark Souls 2 proved that we don't need more stats.
Yeah. It kind of shows that they've matured and they realize I think they have a better grasp on what these games are. So it could be like a demonstration of their intentions going forward. We'll see though.
Yeah,
The only thing
I'm hoping for DLC.
All I want is an ultra great sword.
I feel like that's a
Yeah.
given at this point. I really do. I feel
You
like
think
that's
it's a given?
at this point.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so.
What makes you think that? I'm curious.
Ever since Demon Souls was the only one that didn't have DLC, but that was also the first one.
The catalyst. Yeah. Like,
so the fact that Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne being one of, well, I don't know if it's the most or one of the more successful. I have no idea, but it's very popular. I don't see them not doing DLC.
it is a system seller, so I wouldn't
That's
be
true.
Exactly,
Sony's going
yeah.
to put their money behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really do think just based on what the norms in gaming are right now, I feel like DLC is just something that
Expected.
seems so
Yeah.
expected.
I guess so. Yeah,
I
I
know-
wouldn't mind.
But I don't want to say that in a bad way. Like I'm perfectly okay with DLC as long as I feel like it's something that they are adding to an already
Mhm.
good game. I hate DLC when it feels
Yeah.
like that is the missing component to make the game
Mhm.
actually complete. Like
Yeah.
that just bothers the shit out of me. But I really don't think that's
Yeah,
the
I
case.
don't. I got. There's plenty of.
So
good
I think
stuff.
anything else we get is just more
Yeah.
shit to do, and I'm
Uh-huh.
really excited for that.
I'm
I was gonna say I know how the DLC will be like how you'll enter the DLC. You want to know? Yeah, I figured
Okay.
it out.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, like, what are your guys' theories on like how we get to this new area
It's-
of some new DLC?
Well, first of all, my theory on Mikolash is that after the One Reborn, you go into the chapel or whatever behind it, and they have all the sacrifices or whatever, and they all have the Mensis cage
The
on their
cage.
head.
Yeah.
And the one sitting there, the one that you go up and you touch to get to the lecture building, which brings you to Nightmare of Mensis, it's that's Mikolash's body. That's his corpse. And you touch him, and he's the host of the nightmare. So
Yeah, you go into his night.
That's a good point.
so
okay, I see.
my theory is that the Mensis cage actually, whenever they put, it's not just this goofy thing, part of the sacrifice ritual. It actually, whenever they put it on them, it traps them in their own consciousness.
minds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it traps them in their own consciousness. It locks in their consciousness, and even after they're dead, they're still trapped in their own consciousness. I know that doesn't make much sense, but there's
I think it
also
does,
magical
actually. Cool.
spells in this game. So yeah, I think
makes a lot of
traps
sense.
them in their consciousness.
someone
So
else's
I'm thinking-
nightmare.
yeah, so I'm thinking that's why he says whenever he dies, he says, "I'm waking up. I'm gonna forget everything." He's not gonna wake up. He's gonna be dead whenever he wakes up. But yeah, I think that's what the Mensis cage does, and that's how we're gonna get to the DLC. It's gonna be another sacrifice that you go and you touch, and you go into their consciousness, and it's gonna be some kind of nightmare area.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I feel
a good
like
idea.
that's
Yeah, I like it.
very likely the case.
Yeah, there is
Um,
even that one that they where the note is that mentions sacrificing a baby or something. And there's like a kid on a throne like area,
Yeah,
and he has a
right
Mensis cage
in
on.
Yahar Ghul.
Oh,
Yeah,
Like right whenever
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
walk in, I'm thinking that might be the one. You know,
you might. Yeah,
'Cause
it's
it's like-
the only one there, and it's like on a very much like in a throne like area.
yeah,
so.
and it seems to be one of the only other ones that you would be able to walk up and like interact with, because like all the other ones you see are like lining the walls and stuff. The only ones that really are interactable, I'd say, if that were possible, is there's that one, there's Mikolash, and then right after the second lamp in Yahar Ghul, there's one that you chase one of the little Crystal Lizards 2.0s. You chase him up to it, and they have one sitting in a chair right there, I believe. But
Interesting.
But yeah, those three, I believe, are like some of the only ones. Are possibly. Sorry to continue on. It may also have something to do with the those like skeletons that are kneeling down in Yahar Ghul, looking up at the moon, that like hurt you if you touch them. What the hell?
oh
are
yeah,
those?
those weird guys.
Those are like bonfire equivalents.
Huh?
That's all. Like
Wait,
you
what?
just before it transitioned that area, it used to be like a bonfire.
Oh, were they
Wait,
really?
what?
There
You
were
go
fires
back
before?
after it changes. Yeah, they
I
were
think there were
fires.
fires
before.
like in the
Yeah.
middle of the street.
I'm pretty
Like
positive.
I remember running into a fire when the pig
Yeah,
came
those
up.
yellow pools with the burning skeleton. I'm almost certain it was a fire before. It just changes what
Well,
it looks
no.
like.
No.
That would be
If you-
hilarious.
Just like the pigs. Remember the pigs?
Yeah,
They turn into
those
those
planters.
skeleton box things. Yeah, that's all it is.
No. The thing is though, I thought on my first playthrough, I have to sacrifice something to these, and so I
Yeah.
lured enemies into them. And if you lure enemies into them, or if you do it yourself, you lure enemies to them, and they hit them enough. It not only does it cause like a continuous burn, but if it takes enough hits, that light around it dims and goes
What?
away. Yeah, I swear. If
What?
you go and you hit them enough, the energy surrounding it goes away. It like dissipates. And I tried like doing it to all of them, and I couldn't
And
figure
after
anything
you've
out.
dissipated
but,
the energy, does it still hurt you when you walk up to it? Whoa.
No, it doesn't hurt you anymore. But
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so
well, that wouldn't that just be like the equivalent of like kicking over a fire? I mean, I honestly I
can't
don't think
kick
there's too
over
much.
you
to it.
can't kick
Fire.
over fires
I know you
in this
can't.
game.
I know you can't. But like, I just connected it with like the pigs turning into skeletons. Okay, now you can see the spider things
you thought
that
it
were
was a
there before
reskin?
this whole time. Yeah, it was just because the
Yeah.
whole area changed, right? And the enemy types changed, and before they weren't responding, and now they are. So I just think I don't think there's much to them.
Well, the
But
way-
please correct me though if there's something more to them.
The way I saw that was the well, I saw it like this on my first playthrough, but now that I think about it, I don't know if that's the case at all. Your first playthrough, you can get to that area through getting kidnapped or whatever.
Yeah, I
And
got
then,
kidnapped too.
Yeah, and then you get
It's fucking
there.
bag monsters.
You get
It's so hard.
you get there, and they have the pigs and everything. But whenever you get to it again in Yahar Ghul, like through story progression, like you said, it's instead of it's like those skeletons and stuff. And I was thinking, this area seems more like a nightmare, while the other area may have been like real.
Yeah.
Because those skeleton things. Do you know what those are?
Nito?
They're coming out of that box.
The big Nitos? No. The box that I think that's just like a jump scare. But
No. Well, like the ones that the
Yeah,
pigs
they're riding
turn
around a
into,
little
is that what you're
planter.
talking about? Yeah.
yeah, what they are is they're the statues. The statues lining the entire area. Like I
What?
figured that out.
Really?
You go and you look at the statue. Yeah, the big, tall, like hunched over statues that have always had those sheets over them.
Oh.
Yeah.
The really creepy looking statues.
Oh.
Those are the
Wow,
skeleton
cool.
enemies. The statues came to life, and
murdered
and
everything.
the little planter that they have at their feet. That's like where they were like in the ground,
Huh.
Yeah.
So they like
That's one
ripped
thing
it
I've,
out.
I've been
and-
curious about throughout the whole game. In each area, there's always one type of structure that they just have all over the place. In some areas, it's statues. Others, it's tombstones. I'm really curious what that is. I'm hoping it's not just we need to fill this place with stuff.
Kinda
so
what I
let's
thought
just
it was.
copy paste all over the place. And that there's actually more to it because I don't know, especially after I found like that the Hunter's Dream LOD model that I saw in Cathedral Ward was actually the old workshop that you can go to. I think there might be more to him because it just seems like so haphazard and I don't know mean if you just do that. If you just fill the area with stuff that is
Oh, you
meaningless.
can see the workshop, the old workshop from. Oh my god! I
Yeah.
remember looking at that and I was like, "Am I looking at Hunter's Dream?" I didn't make the connection. Oh man, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
just discovered that
I-
too.
Yeah.
I only realized it when I went to make a highlight because I thought, hey, no one else has pointed this out, and it turns out like it's just a place you're supposed to go to, so it wasn't special at all. I just found it a different way.
So I don't know if you guys really had this issue, Sonus and Newtap, but I know Peeve and I did. I'm just curious what you guys want to think about that memory leak bug, because that was something that gave a lot of people a lot of issues. You look at some of the comments on Reddit and stuff where it's like, oh my god, this boss is so hard, it's kicking the shit out of me, and then people are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the biggest fucking boss in the world.
So
Like, you
what
just-
boss did it affect you in particular? or
Oh
bosses, I
god, me and
guess?
Frosty got screwed hard.
I got screwed in a lot of fights actually. Yeah.
It was you want to go
Well, screwed in
first?
what way? Like it wasn't nearly as awesome or
Screwed-
fun?
Yeah,
Well,
screwed in
okay,
terms of first
okay.
playthrough experience.
The
I see.
obvious one
That
for me
sucks.
was Murgo's wet nurse. So
Yep.
you know how Murgo like goes up in the air and like everything goes purple and black, and she like summons
She's not-
clones
And there are
and all
clones
this
of her?
crazy shit.
No,
No, it's
it's
the wet
it's
nurse.
her wet
She's the wet nurse.
Margot's the baby.
Yeah, but that fight like has all this crazy shit. And when I fought her, all she did was she spammed her sword attack. She just flailed around and
Oh my
like
God.
a
the
straight line.
same, the
Not
same
even
sword
at me.
attack. Yeah,
But just in a straight line. So all I did was she'd start the attack, and I'd run around behind, and I'd do a charge attack from behind and hit her,
yep,
and then she would
Oh
rinse
my
repeat.
God.
And I was like, okay,
I did
really
the
cool
exact
fight,
same
but
thing.
You
don't
finished
know
the
what-
game having killed her that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Screwed
I'm
pretty
sorry,
bad.
no
Frosty.
concept. I had
I'm so
absolutely
sorry.
no concept
Yep.
that
Ugh.
it was anything other than that. And the
That's a
Logarius
shame.
fight,
Yep. Yep.
all he did
Oh
was
my
swing.
God.
All he did was attack.
That's
Yeah.
like one of the most
Yeah,
interesting
they-
fights in the
yeah,
whole
I
game.
know. The
I know.
Logarius
That's
fight-
what I mean. Like,
Whenever, and me and Frosty talked about this. We had the same experience on Logarius.
Damn. I'm sorry, guys.
And the wet nurse, and I'm not sure what else. But Logarius, I walk in, and everyone's like, everyone in my chat who knows what's gonna happen, everyone's like, "Oh boy, here we go." He didn't. I didn't know he even had spells.
Oh my God.
He came out to me and he just started swinging, and I
just parried the
I
shit out of
parried
him.
him. I didn't get. He
Just
killed
over
me.
and over.
He killed me the first time because I got screwed on like a riposte, but. The second time I go back, he starts spamming again, and I was like, there's something more to this. This is like some kind of comical throwback to Gwen being able to be parried into oblivion.
I'm cringing for you right now.
I didn't get hit once. Whenever the time that I killed him, the second time I went to fight him, I didn't get hit once. I just parried him repeatedly, and he died, and that was it. And everyone was like, he's supposed to cast all these spells and everything, and like I even said, I got mad at somebody in my chat. They're like, "Oh no, nobody spoiled the second phase. Don't spoil the second." And I was like,
What second phase?
I was thinking, you just spoiled it. I figured I was going to come back out and he was going to come back to life or something because it was such a letdown. I thought,
Yeah.
there's more to it. This is just to kind of make me think I'm safe. But nope, it was just the memory leak.
No, we just got fucked.
Yeah.
I got
Like, it
so
was-
lucky. I guess.
My chat would told me make sure to quit the game every night.
Yep.
So
It's a good thing your
Or
chat
maybe every
told you
few
that.
hours, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's fixed, right?
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
fixed it.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But it sucks
That's
because
good.
so many
Mhm.
people missed out on first playthrough experience. So many people who were excited for Bloodborne, they got the game, they played through it, and they probably a lot of the cooler
They will
boss
never
fights.
touch it again.
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
they beat the hell
Yeah.
out of them because they essentially R1 spammed. Like the boss R1 did their version of R1 spam, and then a lot of people probably went away from Bloodborne going, that was
supposed to be
quite
hard.
a
Easy.
letdown, and that was easy. That
Yeah.
was quite a letdown. And then now, what are they supposed to do? Like FromSoft's like, oh, it's fixed. Go back, and it's like, no,
Play it
I'm
again,
already done with
Yeah.
it. So it screwed a lot of people in their like first experience, and that sucks so bad.
That's actually kind of another thing that's interesting that you just brought up, like the difficulty of it. How did you guys feel about that? Because I know for myself, I was getting the shit kicked out of me for like the first, I don't know, half of the game. It took me a really long time to adjust.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty tough at first. Where it clicked for me though was in Cleric Beast. Like, oh shit, I need to fight back when I'm low on health, and which is weird because later on, as I tried to do that with a lot of bosses, I just kept paying for it. So it took me a while to find that balance between like being conservative or defensive and offensive.
I died
That was my
about
main
430
struggle.
times in my first playthrough. Like I think Logarius killed me 60 odd times.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I suck.
What level did you fight him at?
I was
curious.
I must have been 60 something. Like I wasn't that low level.
Really?
But I also didn't parry
Yeah.
very much. I had the cannon and Ludwig's, and I only really used it two-handed. I think Amelia killed me like 30 sometimes. Like I died a good number of times to a lot of the bosses. Undead Giant was like 50 times. Like, screw that guy.
I remember that. Oh my god.
How did you beat Amelia? Did you use Did you use anything on her to help?
Just well, I started off like about half my attempts were with Kirkhammer, and then I ended up getting Ludwig's, and after that's what I used at the end. Like I didn't do anything special.
Okay.
Well,
you
I
smashed her to
found
death?
that Ludwig's has a deceptively long range, so a lot of the times her face kind of hovers a little close to the floor, and you can just kind of swipe at her from a bit of a distance and punish her
Yeah.
face.
Did she ever spam
She
heals for
healed
you?
on me a few times, but I don't know about spamming heals. I was able to interrupt her at least once.
I wonder if that's some memory leak shit. Where
Yeah.
she starts healing and
Oh,
she
what?
just only heals. Like
What? I've never.
I know it's happened to Sonos like on a couple of his tries where
What?
she would constantly heal like 4 to 5 times in a row. And so he would get her down to half health, and then she would heal almost all the way back to
Y'all
full
want to
health.
know?
And
I'm sorry, you gonna say Solo?
I was going to ask, are you go? Sorry.
he couldn't get past it until he finally just
Yeah.
decided to try to use numbing mist on her, and then
Is that what
that's
you were
I was
getting
gonna
at,
say. I
Sonos?
was gonna say you could use.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I heard
what,
about
I didn't
it,
want to
yeah.
like say it outright. I didn't know, but I just on a hunch because I'd never had a use for it yet. I was just like, well, I'll try this, and surprisingly, it worked. I figured it wouldn't because I thought that numbing mist would only prevent you from using
Mm.
blood vials like in a PvP context or
Yeah.
fighting other hunters, but it just happened to work there too.
My first.
they're pretty good about adding those subtle little hints too, because you get the nummingness like right outside. the
Yeah,
Grand
yeah,
Cathedral
you do,
on one of the
yeah.
rooftops, and just like in some of the other areas, like you go towards the bloodletting beast,
Bloodstained
right?
beast.
Is that what it is? Yes, thank you.
Wait,
Bloodstarved
bloodstained
beast,
beast.
whatever.
Blood.
I always call it
Blood-starved.
bloodstained.
Yes, blood starved. I knew it was BSB.
Old
that's
old
the short
Flappy.
form, but
Old
anyways.
Flappy. That's his
Old
name.
Flappy.
Oh,
yes.
Flappy Skin.
Yes. But you get a ton of antidotes. You get
Yeah,
some
yeah.
fire paper and
Oh,
old
yeah,
Yarnum, and the beasts are really, really vulnerable to fire.
That-
Like the game does a really good job about kind of
To be
adding some
expected.
subtle hints.
It's their version of a
Yeah,
tutorial.
I mean, it's to be
Like all the
expected, but I
games are
just-
good about that. Yeah.
I'm always going to point that out and
Mhm.
just be appreciative of that. Like I
Yeah.
really, really.
It's
Enjoy
weird.
when a game does
Like
that.
for me, I'm almost like, that whatever, because they do it in all the other games. But so many other games don't get that stuff right. You know,
Yeah.
that you can still tutorialize in the background without being so explicit about it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It may not be so out of the norm for Souls games, but it's definitely out of the norm for games in general, at least nowadays, I think. But yeah, I like to point that out.
But the
'cause it's
important
something
thing
I really
is,
appreciate.
like, the placement of the numbing mist. It's not like right up the boss path, right next to the door.
Yeah.
It's in the area nearby.
It's close enough to
Right.
where it's still fresh in your mind. Like,
But they
what
don't
do I
beat you
use
over the
this
head
for?
and tell you use this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because it's like it's I don't know. I describe it as kind of a motherly approach. Like they're supporting you in the background constantly, but they're not like, you know, giving you a list of things to do
Mhm.
to beat the boss. Right? It's not like you still have to do
Yeah.
it yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see that Ego Raptor video of like sequelitis, the Mega Man
Yeah.
thing?
No.
Oh,
No?
it's been a while. It's been a while.
Well, he's got this thing where
think I've
he's
watched
he's talking about how games nowadays just like fucking beat you over the head with this information. And like he goes to he shares a couple of screens of like Lords of the Fallen, or no, sorry, not Lords of the Fallen, Lords of Shadow, the new Castlevania game. How it, like everything is just so explicit. Like you have to read this stupid menu that just tells you how to play the fucking game, and you can't like avoid it. Things like that.
I think
So,
that's the thing that
I don't know, just all I hear in the back of my head when you guys are talking about this is Mega Man, Mega Man. If
Oh, I
watch,
see.
if
Okay.
you watch the video,
Yeah.
you'll know what I'm talking about. So
Just shut up. Yeah.
just shut up. I know, I get it. Like it's just fun. So
Yeah, my on my first playthrough, I didn't pick up on that hint. I ended up beating Amelia with the transformed Saw Spear.
Weird.
Whenever she would I figured its range was long enough, so whenever she would go into like the heal animation, for some reason I figured I had to hit her directly in the middle of her hands. Which
Wow.
it seemed to do the trick, and I guess my gun didn't have enough damage. But basically I do the one of the running attacks that was just basically a big long stab, and it would stab her right in the middle of her hands and interrupt the
cool.
healing,
That's
and she would
probably it,
like come
actually.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better approach, honestly. 'Cause
no,
it seems
it
like
wasn't
that's the
very
intended
reliable.
approach.
It wasn't. It was not.
I didn't
very
even know you can
reliable.
interrupt it because I would try to just beat
I
the
figured
shit
it was
out of
just
her.
poison
Yeah, you
damage.
can. You can interrupt it. Yeah, I think I would chalk it up more to poise damage because it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't the most reliable thing, but it seemed like it worked. But yeah, definitely the numbing mist. Like that's all I use now. Whenever I go fight her, I make sure I have a bunch.
I gotta.
Since there are a lot of optional bosses, how many did all of you beat
don't know which ones
on
I'm
your
missing.
first playthroughs? Did you guys keep track?
I think I've beat them all.
What did I miss on my first playthrough? I missed all of Upper Cathedral.
Oh,
I
dang.
didn't go to Upper Cathedral at all. On
Oh,
my first
damn.
playthrough. Yeah, I missed all of
Shit.
it. I missed the super cool final boss, which New Taff still hasn't done. I missed what else? What
Amygdala?
other optional bosses? No, I did Amygdala.
I actually did Amygdala really
Um,
early in the game, like way
I did
before I
too,
went to
yeah.
Bergenworth. Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
But for some
Wow.
reason, I just didn't go
I
there.
love that you can do that though. Yeah.
Yeah, I
great.
remember going up to the little platform and with the tonsil stone, and I got to the lecture building and a bunch of people were like, what is this place? No one had really seen the Nightmare
Yeah.
Frontier, and so everyone was
Oh,
like all
nice.
amazed. They're like, what is this place? Like, holy crap! And I went and fought Amygdala,
cool.
and everyone in the chat was doing like Pog Champ all over the place. Oh my god, laser beams! Oh god, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I was
see-
actually sorry to interrupt, but I was actually really disappointed with my first playthrough. I had basically gotten all the items and all the things to actually go to those places. I just completely forgot to go to those places.
Mhm.
Like for instance, in the woods or whatever. Actually, before the woods, in where all the, not where the snake enemies are, but before the windmill or whatever. I went down into that little cave,
The shortcut.
where the stupid snake worms,
Yeah.
and the short worm back
And
into
the big
little thing.
giant skeleton dudes.
And yeah. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like an interesting way to go. I'll go back there later.
Oh.
I did the same
And I never
I-
went back there. But I found the area. I just never fucking went back. Like I never made that
Yeah.
the note for it. I think a lot of that was just because when I actually did complete the game, it was like fucking like 6 a.m. in like on like, I don't know, one of the days, and I had been playing for like, I don't know, 15 hours straight or something. I was just fucking out of it. So then it's like I killed German, and I was like, oh, cool. That was such an awesome boss fight. But it's like, oh shit, I missed.
I did.
Because yeah,
What were you gonna say?
sorry. Well, I missed Canehurst. I missed the old workshop. I missed the what's it called?
Hello. Oh.
Upper Cathedral Ward. I missed like everything. It really
shit.
bad.
How did that make you guys feel to find out, or how did you find out that you missed that stuff?
People
Second
kind of told me
playthroughs?
afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, second
Oh,
playthrough
okay.
kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm kind of having mixed feelings about it. It's shitty that I missed it, but I appreciate that it was something that they put in that is
Yeah.
actually missable.
Yeah, it's
You know what I
not
mean?
like in your
I
face.
really like.
Yeah.
I really like all this extra content that's just straight up hidden. Like if you don't invest the time and you don't find it, you're not
No matter
gonna
what,
experience
it
it.
flavors
And,
your
you know.
first playthrough uniquely.
Yeah.
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 It seems kind of unfortunate that like you guys are so eager to get this game and play through it, but you had to sit through long load screens, you had glitched bosses, you missed a lot of areas, and the ending
Yeah.
kind of snuck up on you.
Yeah.
Like all
Well-
together, it feels like your first playthroughs just didn't quite
I felt
live
rushed.
up to your expectations.
I felt
Well, that
rushed
first playthrough,
because
like
I
right
was
after
streaming.
release, at least.
I
Oh,
think
yeah?
because I
Really,
was
like
streaming, I
rushed
felt
by
rushed.
like
And
thinking,
yeah.
knowing that you're on stream and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think maybe I need to get through this faster, maybe make it more interesting. Blah blah blah. I don't know. It was a very odd thing, and I kind of really. This playthrough of Bloodborne really has me contemplating what I'm going to do for the next Souls game, if I'm even going to stream my first playthrough or not.
Interesting.
be perfectly
Because
honest.
because it with an audience watching, it feels almost like
It's just weird.
I'm
Yeah, I don't
spending
know.
too much
You
time
can't take
in
your
this
time to
area.
explore.
I need to move
At least
on.
not for my very first playthrough. Like I think if what I ideally would want to do, and this is what I was actually thinking about originally, is doing like a YouTube Let's Play, like an offline Let's Play, soming like
Yeah.
K Play does, or K Plays or whatever.
Best Let's Play of Dark
I
Souls.
just absolutely love her stuff. If you
Yeah.
guys listening have not seen K Plays like playthroughs of Dark Souls and Demon Souls,
Somebody
now,
just recommended
watch
it to
them.
me.
They're
I'm
so
gonna put it
good.
on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
was
should
so nice.
watch because she's so patient when she's playing it. It allows you to on your own, even aside from her and her experiences, pick up on things that you never saw before, like
Yeah, like
all
a year
kinds of
later.
symbolism
That's
that
awesome.
you just never could possibly appreciate as you're playing it.
A year later of playing Dark Souls, I went back and I watched K Play's first experience with Dark Souls, or whenever she put it out, and I'm sitting there and I'm learning things that I didn't know after playing the game for like a year, and she's on her first playthrough.
Very cool.
And she's just extremely observant and very very patient with how she does it. I just absolutely adore her playthroughs, and like that's I don't know. I would kind of want to try something like that for the next game, just because I really want to take my time. This is a game that you have to take your time. It really is, like to really
To
appreciate all the
everything.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I
think
felt rushed.
Yeah.
I think I barely
I don't know
felt
what
that.
it
I felt
is,
that
but,
only
yeah.
maybe when I was like taking a long time on certain bosses, like many deaths. But usually I just went to go explore somewhere else. I definitely went back and like re-explored areas like over and over again. I don't know. I was able to somehow keep that at bay.
I really didn't feel that rushed, but then again I went I was like, you know what? First playthrough, there's gonna be a lot of people watching. I was like, I'm doing sub only mode because I know how it gets. Like people like freak out. They're like, oh my god, why are you and it's just like the less I have to deal with that, the better. So I took my time. Then again I
My
what are you gonna say?
my first day of streaming the game, like my first session of streaming, I refused to even look at the chat. Like I just didn't look at the chat. Like it's a really shitty way of going about streaming it. And I don't know. It kind of there's a slight sour taste in my mouth about
Yeah.
that.
I think my
But,
mod wall was
I don't know.
incredibly effective. Like they squashed almost
Yeah.
everything.
Nice.
It was really great.
So you just had a
Yeah,
lot
so
of moderators.
before I started, like a lot of my regulars, people who've been watching for a long time, I just deputized all of them and said, "Can you help squash spoilers?"
Mhm.
And then I moved my chat halfway off the screen, so added like an additional delay. Like those two things together, they were
Yeah.
like top notch.
Was that sufficient? Because I mean, I'm so paranoid, and this is probably the worst coming from someone who has been streaming since 2009 and actually works at Twitch now, to not look at chat. Like I felt so bad the whole time. But like this game, there's so much to it. Like even a little bit, just like one line can just ruin something that you would have felt so great to figure out on your own. So I just didn't even look
I
at
can
chat
count on.
throughout.
I can probably count on one hand,
Even up
the
to
number of,
today.
like things that got spoiled for me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I
Maybe I'll
got
try
I
it
got
next time.
spoiled on a few things, but I kind of went at it with the approach of I would love to have like first playthrough experience, but I've gotten pretty salty about getting spoiled on things. Like I remember last time it really happened was in my Dragon's Dogma playthrough. I was just like, I was so done because people were like not intentionally. There's a difference between someone showing up with the intention of being an asshole. It's like I can understand that. You want to be a dick. Okay, I got that. But then it's the people who show up to watch the stream and they don't have like ill intentions. They just don't really understand the concept of
The sanctity of the first
I
playthrough.
don't really want the help. Yeah, let me have that experience because I explained it as if it's something.
But you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, if
You're
it's
playing
something
wrong.
if it's something that you're excited to talk about or to correct or whatever because you know what's going to happen, that's like if that's what's building up the excitement, if you tell them that, then you take that excitement from them. And so I after the Dragon's Dogma play, which I still need to finish, I decided I was going to look at it more along the lines of instead of like, oh, this is my first place, this is for me, I decided I'm going to look at it more along the lines of, okay, if something spoilerish happens, whatever, I'm going to let it slide. But I ultimately want it to be, the stream is there to be kind of like a background noise to people like hanging out and just enjoying themselves. Because if you get really salty about something, especially spoilers and stuff, it's just gonna bring down like everyone's like vibe in the stream. So I decided to have more of a relaxed, like shrug it off approach if spoilers
I don't think I can
happen.
do
But that
that.
doesn't mean I wasn't like trying to
Couldn't do
do
it
like
either.
a precaution. I wasn't taking precautions or anything. It's not like I wasn't taking precautions. I definitely went sub only mode. But the thing is, whenever I did get spoiled a little bit, I was just like, oh, that would have been cool to find out on my own.
It's
but-
commendable.
oh well, yeah, because it's I don't know. It's not really worth just bringing down everyone's experience because you didn't get your experience as much as that would be awesome, but it's inevitable sometimes. So that's my take on spoilers.
I think I would probably
now.
do it exactly the same for the next game. It's worked well for 2 games now. I'd do it the same again.
I think I might try that next time because I miss chat. I miss the chat throughout.
Yeah.
It's such a shame to like see comments that you want to respond to and you just can't.
That reminds me,
It's-
like,
At some point, it's almost like not worth it because you want that interaction.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
point of the stream, realistically.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I'm strongly just considering doing a YouTube playthrough as my
Mhm.
first, because then I don't have to worry about that. Not
Yeah.
not that I don't appreciate the communication there. It's just
There's no
I don't
at
know.
that point. There's no point to stream if you're not going to look at chat.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
I understand. Yeah.
It's
so-
more about it becomes at some point it becomes more about their entertainment, like hanging out in the stream and enjoying it than your
Well, I'm incredibly
you're
selfish,
like
and I want-
holy
no, but
first
here's
playthrough
the thing.
experience.
Like,
it is
But
my holy
the-
first playthrough. So.
yeah, I agree. I hate having it like ruined for me, but yeah.
but I know
Are you gonna say
that
Newtop?
like a bunch of people at least want to see, like, they're interested in seeing what my like untarnished first impressions are.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, that's why people
Yep.
like to watch first playthroughs.
Exactly. I'm not debating
that's
that at all.
enjoying.
I'm just saying like
But,
whatever
but I-
a
I think it's the
spoiler
difference
has-
between like post
Yeah.
or live, right? That's the
yeah.
difference.
I've seen some people get like spoiled on in like first playthroughs, and get mad, like really mad. And people in the stream were
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, all right, I'm taking off.
Calm
this is a
down,
bit
psycho,
much."
but it's like no,
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's
I
what
can-
I want to avoid at all
Yeah, I can
costs.
understand it, but on the same note, it's like I started taking like a more relaxed approach to it. I'll take precautions to prevent it, but if it happens, I'm like, you just got to shrug
Yeah,
it off.
so, like,
but it's so painful.
It was the
It's
same
so
for me. Like
painful.
the few things that did get spoiled for me, I was like, that's unfortunate. Well, whatever. We deal with it now.
Yeah.
There's plenty more stuff I don't know.
I do have like a different perspective on it, mainly because I'm mostly a viewer. Because for Demon Souls and Dark Souls, I think I've pretty much watched other people play it before I even bought consoles to play them at all. Like I would watch Peeve and pretty much in the background at work, and so I knew what was in the games. I knew what possible surprises were coming up, but I have really bad memory, and I do forget what's gonna go on. But I kind of view it as, even though I know what's coming up, I still want to experience it for myself. And I'm also more interested in the lore and putting that together. It also kind of helps me know, like, I need to be able to do this so that I don't skip it, because it's very likely I won't do more than one playthrough of the game. So I want to be sure I complete it instead of like, oh, I missed it. I don't think I can go back and play it again just to experience that one moment I missed.
Yeah.
Huh.
Perfectly valid approach. Yeah.
Yeah, I also need to spend time drawing. It's very tough for me to repeatedly play the games over and over again when I also have very limited time to be able to do the art that I really like doing for these games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did y'all adding on to that, did y'all have I'm so afraid of spoiling something for someone who's in New Tap. What did y'all do? Like, did y'all talk to
Yes.
Alfred a bit?
I
So did y'all complete Alfred?
saw him go
line of
nuts.
things?
Which one was Alfred?
Alfred was not Solar out of 10.
Fake sunburn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't think
yeah,
I completed it
his-
all the way.
his
Okay.
Stuff, yeah.
Okay.
With Master Legarius.
Yeah. And when
yeah,
what
yeah,
he
I
does with the
completed
that.
Ball Blood Queen is
Yeah,
okay. All
I
right.
didn't
all right,
see
that's all
what
I wanna
happens
say.
after
Yeah,
that to
I,
him, though. I think I'm missing a last leg of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completed that. I did see what happens afterwards.
But in reference, I'm just talking about the Vile Blood interaction. Just to kind of show like something that like got spoiled for me. I was like, oh, an unopened Canehurst summons, awesome. I wonder who I give this to, and so I'm going, and it's in sub mode and everything. But one of my subs, I don't remember who it was. I hold no ill will towards you, but somebody was like. Someone was like, "Don't go give it to Alfred. He's gonna freak out, and he murders
Wow.
the Vile Blood Queen, and it's gonna,
Wow.
she's gonna die, and this and that, and he like goes crazy and kills her." And I'm like, "Well, that would have been really cool
That's it.
to
There you go.
experience
That's
on my own."
unfortunate.
But yeah, that
You don't even have to give it to him now.
yeah, exactly. I didn't give it to him. I was like, I know she's gonna get murdered, and I want to be in the Vile Blood, so I'm not gonna do that. So
But the thing is,
it
like,
just kind of ruined
part
it.
of the
but
fun.
Yeah,
Part of the fun, both as like a person playing and as a person watching, is when those stupid things happen and the
Yep,
person just
yep.
fucks up.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I
God.
love
Like,
seeing
Yeah.
I have a
that.
good one here.
Like, oh yeah.
Like when Barney killed the fucking
Oh,
Emerald
Jesus.
Herald in Dark Souls 2, and he spent the whole first playthrough like having to talk to her stupid ghost. Was one of the most amusing,
Yeah, you have to pay
was one of the
souls
most
to talk to
amusing
ghosts.
things.
That's
Dude.
And
great.
like, you know,
Oh,
but if you
man.
have some person just screaming in
How
the
did he
background,
kill her?
"Don't attack her! Don't do it!" Like, and he just went up and smacked the shit out of her. He's
Oh
just
my
like,
god.
he's
He
like,
just purposely
I need
wanted
to
kill her.
go
But
outside
that's-
real
that's
quick.
Barney,
I think
yeah.
I just
That's
heard
just
a
what he does.
I think I just heard a wreck
Oh,
like
jeez.
outside. So I'll be right back. Yeah, I don't know if y'all heard that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
That reminds me of one of my biggest screw ups, well, almost screw ups, is that I was going to turn in the Canehurst summons and go to Canehurst for the first time. So the carriage comes up. I'm like, all right, cool. I throw a rock at the horse for some reason, and it disappears.
Wait, how did it just? Was there like an animation, or did it
no,
just
there was
pop
an
out of
animation. Like, I
existence?
think it's probably the same animation as if you had damaged it. Like if you had hit it, it kind of fades out. I'm like, oh my god, have I totally
Aw.
just screwed up this area? So I went and warped back to Hunter's Dream and came back. Nothing. It still didn't show up. Then I got killed by one of the executioners, and I came back, and thankfully it showed up again. Holy crap.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The area seems a little bit glitched because I remember Sonos was killing all the dogs there and they blocked his way.
Oh,
and he
weird.
couldn't get into the carriage. And
Yeah, what
Yeah,
happened?
you
It
just
just
have to, like,
it just
reload or
froze
something?
there, right? I forget what happened.
You couldn't
No, I couldn't get
actually
in. Yeah, I couldn't
into the
interact
carriage.
with it. Yeah, I couldn't interact. So I had to
And then I think you
reload.
left the area, you came back, and then the carriage was just gone, and you're like, oh shit. And then you walked up to the little obelisk looking thing, and then it was all fine again. But
Yeah, thankfully. Yeah, that one. That was my first clue that okay, I need to go back and read all these items because I only went back through there just to like, okay, I'm gonna give every area in this game a second
useful.
pass just to make sure any, I pick up on any changes in the area or if I missed anything. That second look at things might, expose me to more stuff that I missed the first time. So, and I just went back there doing that, and I kind of ended up saving me. So from that point forward, like after the Vile Blood Queen dies, that's when I knew that okay, there's more to this item. It's not just something I keep from here on out. I got to do something with this.
Not to chime in out of nowhere, but I'm just saying this in advance. There was a wreck outside, so
Jeez.
I'm gonna be having to probably mute and unmute very frequently because there might be a lot of
Oh.
Oh, the
sirens.
sirens.
Yeah, the sirens.
are
Oh
coming.
boy, the hype
It wouldn't be a
sirens.
peep stream
So,
without the police.
if some sneak
Well,
in,
I guess Brandon's gonna make his cameo.
yeah, if some sneak in, anyone listening, fair warning. I will try to maintain it as much as possible. But yeah,
That's
what,
pretty
y'all,
funny.
what did I miss?
I-
What were y'all talking about?
We were just talking about Kanehurst and our interaction with the carriage.
I managed to
Going
make
wrong.
it vanish.
Wait,
and
going
then, And then I
wrong?
had to go back and get it come back.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, I
and then
heard
for
that
mine, I
happened.
couldn't interact with it, so I had to
What?
go. I had to do the same.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sucks.
Because I was killing the dogs in the area, right? There's enemies all over the place, so it might have been better to make you get on to it, like at
yeah.
the end of that road, closer to the cliff, after you've cleared everything. But
I
anyway,
love-
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I love how you get out of the carriage
horse is dead.
in front of Kanehurst.
Yeah.
And they're
I'm
just
like, holy
dead.
crap.
But like, they've been
Yeah.
dead for like months. They're frozen
Years.
solid. They're like
Millennium.
degrading
Did
away
anybody
and
try
just
dying before
dead.
getting to the
Like-
bonfire? Can you get back to Kanehurst if you screw up there? You can get
Yeah.
back?
Hmm.
Oh,
You respawn in
okay.
that area. Yeah.
But yeah,
okay.
if you notice, not only are they like completely dead, but they walked across a gigantic
Sure,
hole
sure,
in the
fair enough.
ground.
Yeah,
So
the
I
bridge
think,
is
but I
just,
think
like-
that's the point. It's supposed to be like, ooh, spooky. How did this happen? So I thought it was kind of
Yeah, I
cool.
wish that area is a bit more spooky. What with the ghost horses to kind of introduce you to the whole area.
Well, the ghost.
I mean, there were
the
ghosts,
ghost
but
ladies
it wasn't
are-
nearly as spooky as the haunted house.
Oh
so
yeah, it didn't have
I
a
was
spooky
kinda-
atmosphere, but
The
the ghost
scream.
ladies, if you look up close, yeah, not only the scream, but if you look up close, their
Yeah,
throats
yeah.
are slit, and whenever you
Yeah.
listen to them, you could hear them like like the way they're breathing.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
when they
smokers?
scream at you,
They're-
they're holding their head
Right.
and blood squirts out of their neck because they're trying to use their
Oh, God.
voice. It's
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah,
Their hands are bound too. That's not something I noticed for
Yep.
a while
Yeah.
either.
yeah.
I think that was probably that area is probably my favorite area of the
Kanehurst.
game.
Hmm.
Really?
Just the visuals of it. Just the visuals of it. Like
Oh.
I think it is the most insanely cool area. I mean, I'm gonna be biased because it's all fucking snowy and shit, and it's a castle. But
Frosty,
Um,
RB Frosty.
his name's Frosty. I get it. No, but yeah, I really like that area. Or when you first walk into the main like the ballroom or whatever it is with the stairs, and it's like the really red carpet and the blue light coming through the window. It's just such a really cool area. I really liked it. But I also kind of think it's really cool how they that's kind of their the FromSoft Miyazaki take on gothic horror like vampire kind of stuff, you know.
hmm
They
It-
kind
it
of really
kinda-
went through all the genres, didn't they? in this
Yeah, they
game?
really did. Sci-fi to a degree.
Well,
nightmares.
it's very
Yeah.
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it kind of made me, it reminded me a bit of like the more high fantasy of Dark Souls. You know, like how it would look in this next generation, so to speak. Because that's like the only area where you can
That's
find
true.
like real armor. And it's more about swords and royalty, and there you see statues of kings and queens all over the
Mhm.
place. It
Yeah.
reminded me a lot of
Yeah.
Honor Londo in that area.
God damn it. I've been trying to keep that out for like 5 minutes. And the moment I unmute after like dodging like 30 sirens, I wop, 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 wop. God damn it. Wub wubbing outside of my house. Sorry.
Anyways,
Peeves at a rave.
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
I don't even. Oh, yeah. I was trying to think of what my favorite area was.
I think Yahoo for me.
oh, yeah.
The first time you see it, it's so like creepy and mysterious and weird, unsettling.
It's one of the few areas that actually has like a little bit of a soundtrack.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
it's
it's
true.
just that slight creepy music
Yeah.
playing all the time.
Yeah, my favorite area, I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to say my favorite area would be either Yarhagul or however you pronounce it, the area like right before the One Reborn, or the woods, just because I want to invade
Forbidden Woods?
in
Oh
the
my God.
woods constantly. Oh my god! Have you
Yeah.
if you've never done an invasion there, whether low level or whatever, it's amazing. It's like if
a lot of fun.
yeah, if that can be the new forest, like Dark Souls 1 forest, it's incredible because there's so many winding paths and everything.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you literally end up hunting them, and you can get sneak attacks in and stuff, like by like hiding behind a tree or something, or behind one of the giant snakes, and you can do all this cool stuff. But the thing is, it's like the matchmaking, even though I think it is fixed, it's I'm like on my, I went from, just for some just a little insight into this, no pun intended, I did a playthrough on a new character, doing like just ringing the Sinister Bell at every chance I got. I got so much PvP, and then I went into New Game Plus, and I continue to get so much PvP. The moment I hit level 90, I stopped the character at level 100. The moment I hit level 90, like between 90 and 100, it came to just a grinding
weird.
halt, and this was post patch. Yeah. So I'm
Damn.
thinking maybe it has something to do with matchmaking, maybe fixed, but maybe now it's something we don't quite understand about the level ranges. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I also,
People were saying with the ranges were like wider too, like they were connecting
Yeah.
with people they really shouldn't have been
Yeah.
connecting, assuming what
but
they were thinking before.
I've heard of a ton of people like who are like, oh, I invade in the woods all day on my 100 and my 110, and I get nonstop invasions, and I'm like, how? Like, what am I doing wrong? I need to fix something. I guess I don't get it. I just want to
Yeah,
invade
for me,
the
I think-
woods.
I think my favorite area, and my answer is probably going to be the most boring, but I have a good reason why. I think my favorite area is just Yharnam, Central Yharnam, Old Yharnam, because when I first saw Bloodborne, the first thing I thought of was like, holy shit, this is like a modern day version of Nightmare Creatures, and I loved
Yeah.
that game as a kid. Like, it was so eerie, and I love that atmosphere. That to get to actually play it in this level of fidelity was just a treat, and knowing that like it was everything I wanted it to be. But other than that, I guess my second choice might be Nightmare Frontier, because it just seemed like this. It was both dreamlike, but it looked beautiful. But all the creatures in it were just fucked up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and yeah, it was just it was stressful too. When that was the first area that I had to
Yeah.
deal with PvP, it was just like. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, but it looked beautiful while it was the worst area for me yet.
Yeah, that was I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I remember watching my oldest brother, play Nightmare Creatures whenever we were younger, like on Nintendo 64, and I was always too afraid to play it, like myself. Or I
Yeah.
would play it for like a little bit, then I'm like, I can't go any further. So yeah, that is a really cool thought. And I remember whenever the game was about to release, whenever Bloodborne was just about to release, someone was like, "Oh, they downgraded the graphics again." And they showed the comparison video. Did y'all see that?
No.
No.
There's a comparison video between
It's
Bloodborne
a parody.
and they're like, here's the alpha footage of Bloodborne, and here's what we're gonna get on release, and it was like nightmare creatures from Nintendo 64.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah, and they went all in
it's-
depth.
That's really
Like, look
funny.
at the flame
Yeah.
effects over here, and they're comparing it to Nintendo 64
That's
nightmare
great.
creatures. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny because I felt like the one thing that really made it the Nightmare Creature scary for me was that it was that old era of 3D games on the 64 and PS1 that the draw distance was like only 50 feet away and everything beyond that all black. It was just all black. So you literally had no idea what was down the street from you.
That's a
It
good
was crazy.
yeah, I didn't consider that. I actually, speaking of draw distance, I was in a Chalice dungeon the other day, and it was a straight shot for a very long way down from the lamp. Like, I could see into the boss. There was like the little room that you have to unlock, and then the boss fog, which I had just got my ass beat at. And then I could see, sorry about the phone, I could see the boss in the boss fog at the
Cool.
other end of this really long room, and I could see it all the
nice.
way back from the lamp. I could see
That's
the
awesome.
boss from like what felt like a mile away, and I was like, how is it that I could see the boss through the boss fog from this far away? It was amazing. So yeah.
On,
What
on the other hand,
sorcery is that?
like
What
there
sorcery
was
is-
some pretty bad pop in certain places. Like
Yeah. Unseen Village with the pig.
yeah.
Oh my god. Or that area. or
and
your goal. Or whatever.
Upper Cathedral Ward, there was like coming out from the bonfire near the dark room. As you run up there, like geometry objects just like pop into existence. I don't know, but it was pretty good. Like I'm not really complaining.
Yeah, I think that's one reason why I didn't get to appreciate Canehurst Castle as much, because I noticed a lot more like geometry issues in that area. So it seemed kind of janky in some places, but I really like the inside.
I really like Canehurst Castle. It's really
Yeah.
fun to invade and get up to like that roof area, and just there's so much gravity all over the place, potential gravity,
Even without kicking.
and it's just really epic. Yeah, without kicking. I actually watched Scott Jund has a highlight of it. He invades
Oh,
there.
with the
The tentacle attack.
yeah, the auger, whatever.
Yeah, he invades in Canehurst, and he's up on one of those steeples right before the boss that you like drop down
Yeah.
onto, and he's got these two gankers or gonkers or whatever the hell you want to call them, and it's like the host and his summon. They're coming through to get him, and one drops down onto the steeple from one end, and he turns to him and does the little tentacle spell, knocks him clear off the thing, and then he turns immediately the other way because the other one went around the other side, and he does it to him, and within like 2 seconds he tentacle attacks both of them and sends them flying to their deaths. It was so good.
Yeah, what did you guys think of the mechanics in general, like the game
It
feel
felt so good.
overall?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Not Dark Souls
Yeah.
2 out of 10, which is like the biggest
That's-
compliment.
I was about to
can give
say,
this
is that a
game. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely think the game. Maybe this is specific to PvP, but the game does feel a little goofier. But I think it gives it more character, and that might be a kind of silly thing to say to some people. But I really like the pacing of the game, and just the controls feel so good.
Yeah.
It just feels so good to control my
Like
character in
backstep
this game.
attacks felt really good.
Just the speed at which you can play
Yeah.
the game. Like
Yeah.
now, see, so the thing for me is now I feel like I'm trying to keep up with what my character can actually do, rather than my character's not doing
Yep.
what I want it to
Oh,
do.
that's a
Yeah.
great
fast
way to
enough.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so now I can kind of feel like I'm going at my own, or I can control it at my own pace, because my character's just fucking going all over the place, just doing all these super
Mhm.
crazy things, and it's just really fun to play. Whereas the other way, where it's just like, okay, well, hurry the fuck up, like do your, oh my god, like just fucking go, like
Yeah.
you get impatient, right? Like I don't know, I really like how this game feels.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting
So-
it. Dark Souls 2, it felt like you're in a constant battle to control your own character.
Mhm.
So,
Always waiting to get out of an animation so you can do the next thing you want to do.
or the
mean,
rolling
people are
on
gonna dispute
one.
that a
Yeah,
lot.
It's
People are going to say that Dark Souls 2 felt more like a chess match, that kind of thing, and people are going to have different preferences. It's just my specific preference.
It's a different
pace.
Yeah,
It's a different
want
pace.
to be faster.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I like
yeah,
better.
I
So.
definitely
I do
agree.
too as well.
But
Yeah, that's the one thing that I throughout my whole first playthrough thinking like, oh, I cannot wait to get into this game for multiplayer and PvP. Like it just feels so satisfying.
the multiplayer is pretty goofy, but it's so much fun.
Wait, how
And
goofy?
it's actually
how?
it's
Everybody backs
well,
up in
it's just
heels.
silly. Like things are so fast. Everybody's just healing all over the place.
yeah.
Like people are spamming.
Constantly
R1
dodging.
or-
I don't
you know,
mind it.
Neither do I. I really don't. Like,
Mhm.
but people, I've had discussions with people who are really into Dark Souls 2 and the PvP and, that really methodical kind of chess match style. And they're just like, ugh, Dark Souls or Bloodborne is so boring. It's just, just R1 spam dash attacks. And, I can see that point. I understand it, but I don't really care.
I mean,
'cause
are
it's just so
people
fucking
really
fun.
utilizing
Not-
all the
Like,
full movesets enough? Like,
Well, I think the game needs to grow. Like the game's
mhm.
been out a month maybe now,
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
more. And I don't know. The PvP was so problematic for the first little bit. It's hard to really get a good
Okay.
idea of how the game is.
It's been like
This is another
been, like,
argument
tainted.
that I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it takes longer just to develop builds because you can't just change your stats instantly, right? Like you
Right.
have
Yeah.
to go back and play through all the way over again, collect all the weapons again if you want to have more than one build.
Well, I find myself kind of reverting back to the same arguments that I did for Dark Souls 2. Like when Dark Souls 2 first came out, I was actually one of the bigger defenders of it in the sense that people were just jumping to conclusions like, I hate this game, I don't like it, it's different, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you got to actually give the game some time to develop and then make an adjustment in terms of how you feel about it. Whether it's good or bad, that's a separate story, but you just give it some time and figure it out. Because, the game has to go through balancing, do different patches to really see what is actually at the core that you're working with. Because, I've talked about this before. Like, think about Dark Souls 1 when it first came out. People talk about build variety. Dark Souls 1, if you were not an elemental
true.
weapon, fucking lightning weapon, Vidgouge, you were doing it
That's
wrong.
true. They
Like,
had
there
the
was
scaling was
no
so
reason.
broken.
There was no reason to not do a fucking elemental build and
Yeah.
have crazy vitality, or you use the stupid great magic shield
And you're
just be
invincible.
invulnerable for
Actually
like 30
invincible.
seconds.
You could get backstabbed.
Legitimately invulnerable. It
And
was
you were
actually
invincible.
God mode. It was like
Yeah.
a bug.
It was.
Right? And then like all this other stupid shit. Like if you're trying to compare the games, you got to look at the games in that kind of time frame. Like Dark Souls 1 within the first month of the game's release was fucking laughable. It really
Yeah.
was. So I just, you got to give the game some time to
Yeah.
really figure it out and then to see what it's about. Because this is a different game, but we don't know really how different
I
it
think
actually
it-
is because it's not.
I was gonna say I think it basically boils down to we need to come up with like the community surrounding. Not only does the game need to be patched with a few things, but I think it boils down to the community itself surrounding it needs to like be able to develop strategies for dealing with certain things because everyone's freaking out. Like even me, it's like, oh my god, shotgun spammers are infuriating. Like especially whenever you fight like gang squads of them. But the thing is, I started to figure out that you can just kind of just dodge and dodge and dodge and dodge until they're having those blood bullets.
I play it like a buff build in Dark Souls 1. Like if somebody buffs their fucking Falchion, like a Brandon build, I don't fight them when the build like the Falchion's
bait
buff.
out
I run around and
gunshots and
Yeah.
make them waste their
exactly.
ammo.
And then they're
and
they have to rely on something
I
else.
was
but-
I was thinking it's relatable to like the Black Knight Great Axe of Dark Souls 1. Whenever the game first released, people were like, "Oh my god, it's so infuriating
I
to
remember.
fight. It's the noob weapon. Everybody wins if you have
You
it."
can
But it
parry
turns
into
out
oblivion.
all you had to do, all you had to do is pick
Yeah.
up your shield, let them swing at you, and then parry them, and that's it. So it's like people freaked out about Wog until the end of Dark Souls 1, and it's like the easiest thing to punish 9 times out of 10. So people are jumping to conclusions. That's all it is.
Well, it very well might be the case that there's less technical potential in this game. There's no backstabs. There's no well, not really.
It's not
no
nearly as
backstabs.
complex either.
Yeah,
too.
but I mean, whether or not that's the case, it's just so fucking fun to play.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like every time I do PvP in this game, I have the stupidest smile on my face the whole time.
Have you seen
It's like-
Barnese's
just
clip?
I don't think we should get too much into multiplayer just because
Yeah,
that's
that's a whole other can of
yeah,
worms,
it's a
but-
whole we
Oh,
could do
yeah.
a whole podcast or two on it. But I just wanted to add one thing that I suspect may be the case. But with Dark Souls 1 and this game, we didn't have the soul vessels, so I wonder if it'll take longer, much more like Dark Souls 1, the same sort of time frame, just because it's on fewer platforms. We don't have soul
mules.
vessels to develop that meta. Yeah, we don't have mules
Yeah.
as well.
Thank God.
Compared to Dark Souls 2, where it seemed like things were evolving week to week, you know? But I wasn't following as closely as other people.
That's true.
Yeah,
But-
I didn't
Well, I
consider
mean,
that.
getting into
Yeah.
more of the technical kind of stuff. I know Sonos had some issues with some technical issues with the game.
Oh,
namely,
yeah,
the
that
fog
weird-
and stuff.
Oh, the
What do you guys
slowdown?
think of that? Like,
That
Well,
was
it's gone now, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
It was due to
Yeah.
the auto adjust
Yeah.
and turning
I
that
can't
off.
stand turning
that
it
was,
off.
That was it. I think
Yeah.
is
they
that all
fixed
it
that.
was? Really?
Yeah.
Your camera
Yeah,
could
that was
get
it,
caught
yeah.
on
Huh.
geometry
If
between you and your
changed
character.
it,
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's something that
it still
that
gets
Franz
called.
has been complaining
It
about
still
a
gets
lot.
caught on. Yeah, I run past some of the big stupid ass pigs, and my camera gets like a mile behind me, and I
But
have
it
to
doesn't
play
slow down
catch
the
up.
frame rate anymore.
Yeah.
No. I never had
you
those,
got lucky then.
those issues. It's well, no, those issues
Yeah.
were only
Every boss for me.
those issues were only if you toggled the camera auto adjust
of
or whatever.
course.
If you toggled it, I forgot if it's on
You need
or
it
off.
off.
If you did
off.
that, yeah. If you originally changed that default setting, then you got
Right.
those frame rate issues.
Sometimes
So-
you're unlucky.
Huh.
I mean, to me,
Yeah,
it's
same
the
here.
only way to play. I can't deal with the camera going all over the place like that. It just
Yeah.
drives me insane. Because you have to adjust where your thumb is at on the camera control constantly. It's just
Do I do that? I don't know. What's
It's
what's
I
the
don't know,
default?
like you might not know because it's yeah.
I
it's
I
like-
have it
it's-
whatever the default
yeah.
is.
It's easy to forget that, it's.
I don't know how
blows
anybody
my
can play
mind.
like
I don't
that.
know how you can play like that.
What, with the
Yeah.
the default?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
you get used to
I
it though,
tried
so I
playing-
can understand how you can play.
What is
with
it? What's it look like otherwise?
The cam.
I
So
don't know.
with
The camera doesn't
Yeah.
automatically move on you. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
just,
unnecessary if you do a claw grip because you're always using you're always
claw
controlling the
grip,
camera
do you, Pete?
anyway. So it's
Oh no, I don't do that. I'll be
that's why.
running, and then whenever I go to like, if I need to hit like the stick or whatever, I will I'll just let go for a second and do it. Or if I absolutely need to,
Chin it.
I'll hold it down.
How can you
I'll
play?
kind of do a claw grip where
well,
I hold B or whatever, like to keep running with my middle finger, and then I'll control the stick or whatever it is I need to do. So I can do it, but not at all times. I don't hold the controller. That seems very uncomfortable.
some people do.
What's wrong with y'all?
well, that's how I play as
I
well.
get
but
used to it.
I still control the fucking camera, people. God damn it!
Yeah.
Like,
I control the
Um,
camera whenever I need to.
God damn it!
It seems like their QA testers just tested only
Oh
with
my
default
God.
settings
I
and nothing
don't
else.
understand
Yeah.
how some of the things just.
So
made
here's
it
the
through
thing about testing.
Like,
even the loading screens, like it's just the logo.
So I guarantee that
What-
every
what's-
single bug that we hit was found in testing, but not. It was deemed too risky to fix at the time they found it. It's almost out.
Wow, that's a
actually,
good point.
actually, that's a really interesting discussion. Think about when did the game go gold? Like 3 weeks before release or something stupid.
That's pretty late.
I
Like
can't
that is
recall.
crazy. That is
Yeah.
crazy late.
Which means that they were probably working on content,
I don't know.
fixing like for every bug that we see that's like, how did this get through testing? They fixed 10 like save game corruption bugs or something like that.
I think it was. I think it was
God.
actually like a week and a half before release. Because remember, they delayed it a month.
That's doable.
They
Yeah.
delayed
Okay,
the
it-
game a month, so it couldn't have been 3 weeks before because they needed that time, obviously.
And for,
think it's like
for
a
people who
week.
aren't aware, of what going gold means, it's when your game is basically ready to be shipped. Everything's done. It's ready to be printed.
You have the
if
finished
you will,
product,
onto discs. Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
ready to go.
Deemed
So the game-
playable.
Yeah. So the game only hit that point like a couple weeks before like launch.
That's
date in
especially
March.
weird,
Like that is
Given that they would
unbelievably late.
expect to have a day one update. That's just normal these days.
Well, but I think the day one update was because they just didn't
Right.
have enough time to fix shit before it went gold.
But not everyone
Right.
gets a day one update, so you still need to
This
make
is
sure
true. It
whatever's
has to
on
be
the disc
playable.
is playable just fine.
Yeah.
Regardless, though,
Yeah.
And if you play with default, it's playable. So there you go.
I think this game, in terms of like quality, I think is easily the best quality. And I guess that's because it's the newest. But the
I'd say so,
environments
too.
and everything, that crap amazed me. Like
There's
the
no Blight Town
detail in
frame rate.
every little thing. Yeah, and
Yes, that's
I
true.
experienced some frame rate issues with like multiplayer. That's it.
Didn't Miyazaki say he was the one who went and designed
Oh,
the
really?
areas?
Really?
I think in
What
I
does
think
that
in one
entail?
of the,
Like the layout or
yeah,
what?
like the actual
awesome.
layout, I think it's
or the art?
I think it's the no, not the art. I think it's the game or the
Like
the guidebook.
okay, like the
The guidebook
encounters, like
interview.
the map and what you encounter
Yeah, like,
as
okay,
you go. Okay,
you know how
Not
you know
surprised
how,
by
like,
that at
Central
all.
Yarnum.
yeah.
You know how Central Yarnum like warps back or like, you just folds
Yeah.
back onto itself in many different
Yeah.
twisting corridors and all that stuff. That's Miyazaki. Like that is
Yeah,
him.
yeah, because that
doing the
was
design
what
for
was
that.
making
Yeah.
with Dark Souls 2 that frustrated
Yeah.
me the most. Like
It's like
they're literally
bonfires
you
like
go down,
clockwork.
you can't go backwards. I'm sorry, you got to go backwards. You have to teleport out now from this point forward, but not in Bloodborne, which is every
And
shortcut
that
was
that
just
fold
like
back
ugh,
from Forbidden
it
Woods
was
back to
so sweet.
Central to Yarnum, like next to Yosef, because oh my god, that blew my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's where I am.
I'm like, that's it. That's the shortcut. That's how I get behind that gate. Oh my god.
I don't know why it was so surprising to me. Maybe like I think my kind of view on what Miyazaki's role actually was he was kind of like the big dude, like
The
okay,
big
this is
M.
what I want. You guys go make it happen, right?
Mhm.
Rather than him being like, okay, no, I'll fucking do it myself. You know, you know what I mean? Like I'll make it the way
Yeah.
I want it to be made. So I don't know. It's just, I never quite saw it that way, and then to hear that he was like the guy that went in and designed that is really, really cool. It's a new
Yeah.
appreciation for me.
It does not surprise me because I think the layout of this game is some of the best. Yeah, like Dark Souls 1, I love how it's not that big of an area, but it's just vertically,
Mhm.
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And
A lot
this
more
one
verticality in this game.
yeah,
yeah.
Within
yeah.
the levels themselves, yeah, I would say.
yeah. hmm
But
Did you guys
It's
see
pretty cool.
the map put together on Reddit
Yep.
of the entire?
Nice job,
yeah,
Zach.
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Yeah. That's the one thing I love about these games is that as you progress, you can literally see where you've progressed through. Like you can look back and say, "Oh, I've done that whole area," and it's just like that. That more than anything, I think, is one of the most satisfying points of the game. Like not just beating the boss, but like
Mhm.
I've conquered this area. Oh, and that's what's next. Like holy shit, that
Yeah,
looks,
well,
that looks
that's
amazing.
the thing. Like, not only is like that is what I've done, but this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
Like, you see
Yeah,
this
yeah.
crazy castle.
Oh god,
or something
the
in area. It's like,
in-
oh shit,
next to
like, that's-
Bloodstar Beast Cathedral, like you progress through this like old Yarnum and you go down and down, and they set up this amazing shot of look at this place over there, like down this like long path up to the cathedral. You don't know how you're gonna get there, but you're gonna get there. You know it because it looks like real important. And then you wind
Mhm.
through this huge circuitous route, and there you go. Suddenly you're walking into there.
On that point, though, I was a bit disappointed because there's like a clock tower behind the Grand Cathedral,
Oh.
and I see that throughout the whole game, almost from the beginning. I'm like, I'm gonna have a fight like inside that clock tower or on top of it or something, and you never do throughout the whole game.
DLC.
Maybe there you go. Hey, I would not be surprised. Some mysterious elevator behind something that takes you up
Is,
there.
is that not?
Quasimodo
That would be
is
awesome.
It's not the
Nightmare
Healing
in
Church
clock
Workshop?
tower.
You don't go. Is it a different building?
I don't know actually.
No. There's different building. Like if you go to the old workshop, you see
Mm.
even another tower behind that one that you see throughout the whole game. It's really
Oh.
weird, but there is one that looks just like either a window or a clock. It looks and it's got like a green glow on it. It looks like it's drawing your eye to
Is it also
looks
not
like
part
you
of
would
Upper Cathedral
eventually go
Ward?
there, and I guess I think it may be part of it's
Mm.
where you fight Abritus, or I
Ah.
guess where you fight the emissary or whatever. That's that area, but the tower goes
Oh,
even
okay.
farther above that, and I figured there would be more to it, and it doesn't take place inside of the round
Hmm.
thing that you see. So slightly disappointed, but nevertheless, great environment design.
So how about that last boss?
Which one?
Well, the not the super spoiler secret crazy one, but like Gurman as the
Gurman.
last boss, I think he's got to be my favorite. Really, like just such a crazy fight.
Yeah,
Maybe not necessarily him as a character, but just the fight was just so
Garamond's
good.
fight is
It felt good.
that is
Felt
my
great.
favorite boss fight, or my favorite. Actually, no, I'm gonna say that's my favorite boss fight of the entire series. I will say that. And
I had a couple of those this playthrough, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's
The first time
pretty
I fought Father Gascoigne, I was like, oh my god, this is my favorite fight in the entirety of the Souls games. And then I get to Gurman and it's like, holy shit, I lied. This,
Yeah.
this is.
I think
the
Amygdala
best.
was
Yeah.
maybe close to that for me. I like the really big bosses.
yeah, mine was Garamond and Vicar
That's a
Amelia.
good
They were
one.
my two favorite. And in terms of visually stunning, the Wet Nurse, like whenever it doesn't glitch
Yeah.
out for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that was that
was-
was amazing.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite looking one for sure. But I think the one I had the most fun with was
Mhm.
Master Ligarius, just because it was. I mean, I'm not a big fan of magic, but it was just. It was a lot of fun. He
Keeps
they
you
had a
on
lot
your
of
toes,
different
for real.
moves and. Exactly, like, and I think the one thing that really makes it for me was the sword attack where he just spawns a bunch of swords
Speaking,
and they start like flying at you, and you
Oh,
just you always have
the
to be on your
spike in the
toes,
ground, you
right?
mean?
Like you're
Yeah.
always managing something.
he stabs his sword into
No,
the
the one where
ground.
he,
Yeah, that one.
yeah, and it creates a cloud
Yeah.
of swords that seek you out. I thought that
And
was really cool.
it would be a crime to not bring this up on that topic. Is that sword or is it not a throwback to Soulbrand? The sword Soulbrand from Demon Souls.
The one he
Which
spikes.
sword?
Ligarius is the one he stabs into the ground. His like offhanded sword, not a scythe.
Oh, I didn't ever get a good
Yeah,
look
I
at
think
it.
people are like, "Oh my
honestly.
god, it's Soulbrand." I'm like it looks more
Yeah, I
like the
see that
Drake
too.
sword to me. But if anything,
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
what I saw. Drake sword. now
yeah,
they're-
if anything,
that's
it
what
looks
I
like the
saw.
Drake sword. But so many people are like, "Holy crap, it's Soulbrand!" I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think it is. It's like, I know what Soulbrand.
It's kind of
looks
like a hybrid
trust
between
me.
the two, really.
yeah.
I can understand the shape of it being Soulbrand or whatever, but it does have that kind of like
The
look.
blade of it,
The
the
texture
blade,
of-
yeah,
of
the
the
texture
Drake
and
sword.
blade of it looks more like the Drake sword for sure. But yeah, I just had to bring that.
But
up.
yeah, Gurman was fun. He felt a lot like there was that one hunter that was really difficult in the Grand Cathedral, but Gurman was a lot like a hunter fight, but one that didn't just utterly destroy you in 2 hits. So in that case, I was able to enjoy it a lot more.
Dude, that is like the most immersive fight ever. It's so the atmosphere just like sucks you in. It's so good.
He's coming out of retirement to kick your ass. Get ready.
Tonight, Garamond joins the hunt. He puts on his little top hat.
Yeah. Overall thoughts?
I'm
Seems
thinking
fucking
about
awesome.
playing it more right
not
now.
Dark Souls 2 out of 10.
I already started my next character. I got another
Yeah.
one on the way.
I think a better question might be how did you guys go into it, and then how did you feel afterwards? Like if you're really hyped or just you didn't know what to expect.
I was like a little schoolgirl, just so like it was Christmas the next day kind of thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
I was just
Yeah.
so excited going in, and I really tried to avoid that because of
Dark Souls 2.
I didn't want to get
Dark
let
Souls
down.
2, yeah.
No, I didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
I
Like,
said that.
We're
I
all
don't- I don't
feeling
wanna-
it.
I don't
We're all
wanna be the
feeling
guy
it. It's
that
in the
just
air.
is shitting on Dark Souls 2 because it's not a bad
It's
game.
not,
I don't
but-
like it as much as the other games. But
Yeah.
I'm cautious. I'm a
Um,
lot more cautious now. Yeah.
But yeah, I went in. I was just so excited, and I couldn't help it. A lot of that's just because the visuals and the theming of this game are just something that I'm such a big fan of. And then to put that into a Dark Souls game was just like this is made for me. Like this is exactly what I was looking for.
I'm getting
And
teary-eyed by your words. I feel the exact same way.
And you know, the game really did live up to the hype, and I was really this might actually be my favorite single player like experience out of the
Yeah,
game.
I'm debating
Um,
whether or not to take that title from Demon Souls. It crushes me to
Yeah,
even think
I'm-
that, but
Yeah. I think it does for me. I really love Demon Souls, and I will never forget like one of my first experiences on Twitch was watching someone play that game and like, what the fuck is this game? And why is it so appealing? Why do people enjoy just dying and frustrated? Like, and then I tried it out myself, and I get holy shit. And especially when you get to Latria, but this just through and through, beginning to end, is just so. it's hard to put to words, but it's appealing throughout, and I love it throughout, and especially the
I
feel
was
on top of it all is just
tentative
Yeah.
on the I guess the theme of this one and the world look, because I really like kind of the fantasy, the dark fantasy kind of stuff that Dark Souls and Demon Souls and all that had going on, and so not having like those kinds of like a castle like Boletarian Palace or anything, and not expecting that in this game was I wasn't looking forward to that, but I mean I think it delivered on in all kinds of surprising and really great ways. So like I went into it excited about the mechanics. I came out like totally sold on all aspects, really.
Yeah, I was. I went into the game extremely cautious, because whenever Dark Souls 2 released, I was like, best game ever, 10 out of 10, best game I've ever played. And then slowly, like, I'm not going to get into all that, but slowly I started to like come to a realization, like, okay, maybe. And then now I'm not the biggest fan of it, but so that original, like, getting sucked into the hype originally, like, of Dark Souls 2 so much has me a lot more cautious now. So I went into Bloodborne like so just cautious of everything. It's like, oh my god, I'm enjoying this, and I'm like, am I really enjoying this? So it turns out I just couldn't help. After the Vicar Amelia fight, I was just 100% like sucked in. So I'm honestly debating in terms of single player. I think I can say my favorite, and world design and everything, I think I can say my favorite out of the entire series, if you include the Soul series. And it pains me to say that in place of Demon Souls. The multiplayer, I think, like PvP and stuff, we need time to see how it develops, for people to form strategies to deal with things that may be too spammy or whatever, and just it needs to develop with the community before I can have a judgment on that. But yeah, single player, so good, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, for me,
I do like the. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
For me, I kind of regret not being hyped up for this game, because it's kind of weird to say that, but I feel like I would have better appreciated it from the start. But for me, like, I think I went into it like, okay, where is this going to go wrong? Where is this going to go wrong? Just because of Dark Souls 2, like, but I think once I hit the Cleric Beast and it clicked, the mechanics clicked, I was bought in by all the atmosphere, and I think from that point forward, I was able to properly appreciate it. But I still feel like I wouldn't have, if I would have been more hyped for it, ironically, I would have been able to enjoy it, because without the hype, I was more concerned about like it betraying my expectations. Yeah, kind of like once burned, twice shy, or something like that. Yeah, it's a masterpiece through and through, from the mechanics to the environment. And the environment, more than anything, I'm so glad that we get this.
So good.
Yeah, I think more than anything, like, because the environment is the setting, and that's probably one of the more crucial parts. Because if you're not sold on the setting, then the rest is meaningless. And not only that, but there's just, Miyazaki is so great with telling story through the environment, and the placement of items. Like, the environment is the key to teaching you the game, and if you don't get that stuff properly ordered or right, if it doesn't make sense spatially, like if you're in a, like, this shouldn't be here. If you realize that, it's hard to kind of buy in with the rest of it. So that I'm the most relieved and excited about, to now be able to go back and play through it and appreciate it again. And not only that, but to fight people in it, I guess. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Solal? Before
Oh,
Sonos rudely interrupted.
Well, I thought we were just going down the list, so I was just taking my turn. Sorry.
I did make a point to stay away from watching trailers and reading about Bloodborne until it came out, and then I get to experience the game through other people's reactions. I do like the dark Victorian aesthetic, the Van Helsing overall feel. I guess my only double take was when the aliens started popping in, and that
It's
kind
a little
of
strange, yeah.
Yeah, I think I had to experience it for myself, but that's probably the only off-putting part for me, as far as watching other people play through it, that's probably the only section that I'm very hesitant about. But other than that, I think the Chalice Dungeons, like, I'm glad that it's procedural. There's probably a lot of playability and seeds that you can share amongst other people and be able to do co-op with. Would really like to go through that, but have a long ways to go before
Are
that
we going to get
happens.
to see a lot of Solar art from Bloodborne?
Oh yeah, I'm like currently working on.
I saw the messengers.
Let's see,
That
the
was
doll
really, really
painting.
good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh yeah, thank you. I wanted to start
Yeah.
off with paintings that didn't require me knowing that much about the lore, and over time I would like to focus more on paintings that express a little bit of backstory to them. So I just decided to go with messengers and the doll, and when I read more into the I think people's favorite character currently, I'm
She's
gonna
pretty
guess,
cool.
is Eileen the Crow.
She's pretty
That-
awesome.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, no.
Fake Yusefka.
Yeah, I think
Best
so. I
waifu.
mean, it's
Oh,
the
you
one you
like
can most
Yusefka?
closely
Yeah.
relate to because she's a fellow hunter. So
The Hunter of Hunters.
She's old.
She's
really-
awesome.
I mean, she's the
So-
only one you have like any significant interactions with that you know several times. So it's hard to connect with anyone else but Eileen.
That is actually a thing that Marcus points out, even Franz, to a somewhat smaller degree. It's just the NPCs are really interesting in and of themselves, but you just don't get enough of them. Their characters don't really flesh out enough. But that's like a whole nother discussion. The Chalice Dungeons is another discussion, and we've been going for like 2.5 hours. So I think it might be time to wrap it up. You know.
Well, before you said Solo, did you want to like wrap up your thoughts?
Yes,
I
sorry.
think we kind of.
Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I was pretty much done with that one.
Okay. just
So now
to be
I
sure.
rudely interrupted. So
Hey, that's fine.
Rude Brant.
We're done.
I
We're
know.
wrapped up.
well, thanks for watching, everybody. Well, not watching, I guess
listen.
listening. But
Yes,
yeah,
thank
thanks
you.
for being on. It's a lot of fun.
This is great.
So much fun.
Bye-bye.
Feels like
Bye.
very
Till
relieving.
next time.
See you
Bye, everyone.
guys next time.
There better be a
Yeah,
next time.
Yeah, definitely. Very soon.
Sure.
Dot
podcast. I don't know what
JPG.
you guys are talking
Yeah.
about. Like,
Soon TM. Soon
one
TM.
day, one day.
Maybe someday.
okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're done.